Welcome to 4020 Live. Officially, I don't know where we are on the podcast chart. But
Very big in Mauritania, apparently.
Big in Mauritania. We've got a Leeds Cup on the thing because Leeds have won the cup again.
Super women.
I know, what can you do? Sack all the men, put all the money into the women's game. That's what we need to do at Headingley. Before we start, we're not going to talk about what people want us to talk about because I'm not interested in other people's podcasts. I think I said at the start of the season on this programme you should listen and watch as much rugby league content as there is out there. And I lied because I don't do that myself. I buy the papers and read Phil's magazine, but apart from that, I don't watch all the time.
So read back on?
I said I buy the papers. You know what?
It's a good firewood, your Colin.
That was a bit harsh, Jay.
File under fiction.
I'll listen to what Brian Bevan would do as well, I would say, if we get it right.
And by the balls.
And by the balls, sorry, listen to that as well. But I don't understand the, if you don't like something, don't listen to it. If you don't like this programme, as I've been saying for 100 years in various places, don't listen, don't watch. And there's plenty of rugby league content out there that I don't like, so I don't watch it and I don't listen to it. But when people make accusations about people who work on this programme without accusation, that's not cool. That's not cool. You know, if you want to slag us off for saying Leeds in crisis or whatever, because you support Leeds, fair enough. If you want to, anyway,
Right, Richard. Yeah, I just want to come in there because, and I say I got a phone call last Tuesday morning from a chairman of a rugby league club asking me very serious questions regarding the club itself. And so, what I want to say to the people who phone this chairman is, please listen closely, get your facts right before you make any sort of accusations regarding this show, and also about me as well personally, what I am supposed to have said on this show, and also as well, if you have got any issues with myself, if you have got some crystals, you can quite easily get in contact with me personally if you want to do on Twitter, and we will discuss it. We will discuss the situation. But what I will say is, this show is open and honest, and as Richard Shaw rightly says, if you don't like it, don't listen and watch. But also as well, those people who made a phone call to a chairman last week regarding what I had said on this show, regarding their financial situation, get your facts right. Simple as that. And if you've got an issue with me, contact me personally and we'll sort it out.
Send you a CFAX.
But it's pathetic. It's absolutely.
I don't want to
pathetic.
give it the oxygen.
No, exactly. But also, just to finish up on this, and the people who phoned this chairman, you know who you are. You know exactly who you are from there. So if you have got any crystals, then as I say, contact me and then we'll discuss it.
I've been in broadcasting since 2002, so I've been around for a while now. Never call myself a journalist because I'm not one. But you know, I've in my life and career now where if you don't like what I'm doing, you don't have to watch, you don't have to listen. We say it every week because people come in and moan about what we talk about. You don't have to watch. Go listen to Radio Leeds. They're on there right now. I think they've got some of the Leeds women on there. We love the Leeds women, as we'll talk about later. Go listen to their programme. Go download every rugby league podcast that's there. There's millions of them. They're all over social media. Been working this afternoon and I've lost my voice. So if you don't like it, fine.
Yeah.
You don't have to tell us that you don't like the programme. If you are on social media and being abusive about us or lying about us, being called bullies today, I'm not having it. I'm just going to mute you. So you can talk to yourself because I'm not paying any attention. But that's it now. Line drawn, because we want to talk about rugby league because we've had a great weekend of rugby league. Mattles is not here. Lobs the grenading, buggers off, doesn't he? What a disgrace that is. John Davidson, though, more than happy to see him in the studio.
John Davidson.
I'll just add, and then we won't talk about it anymore. But yeah, I think me and Phil were talking about this at Bolton. The sad thing is the discourse and the level of rugby league and the state of the media, and this plays into it, and the decline of the media that any fan with a website or a microphone, and you mentioned this last week about churn sites that just rip off stories and run them as their own. This is what we've got to. So, as you say, people can decide what they want to listen to and what they believe it's their call. But you'd like to think, you know, in this show particularly, which is why I like coming on, everyone gives their own views. They watch the game, they talk to people in the game, they love the game,
right, absolutely.
And we
and
don't
it's a
always
healthy
agree.
debate. No,
That's
that's exactly
what's
it.
called
When-
debate.
we don't like
But also-
pumping our own
right.
tyres about everything.
Absolutely. And also as well, one thing what I will say from there, and what Rich just said earlier from there, us bullying people, we don't bully anybody. We don't bully
with that shit.
we don't bully.
Apart from Richie Mike.
We don't bully. No.
Constructive
What exactly? I'm just going to say, Phil, what we do on here, we give open, honest criticism, and also to its open, honest debate. Because this is why the show's so good. Because we don't always agree. This is not a spin show. This is a proper rugby league show where it gives open, honest opinion. And calling us bullies, what? Bullies, bullying clubs, bullying players, bullying individuals, absolute load of tosh. It's an open, honest debate, and that's what makes the show. This is what makes this show the best show and the best podcast around. Simple as that.
You're allowed an opinion. What you're not allowed to do is lie.
It's certainly the best show in Bogota.
It is. Well, we'll find out where we are in the charts at 7 o'clock. Welcome to the programme. Now we've got all that stuff. Some people might not know what we're talking about, but you don't need to know. That, you know, people want to, I don't want to say piggyback on our success, that sounds very arrogant.
Richard, just to finish on this, we'll be the show.
Well,
The people who've made these sort of, Phil, what's the word I'm looking for?
Allegations.
Allegations. They know who they are, and they know it's them who we're telling bloody lies. Right, let's move on to the quality rugby league we've had this week.
This is like when I interviewed Danica Prim after the game and sat in and said, finally, and then asked another 3 questions because I'm not properly trained. Where do you want to start with the weekend? Because we've got the Challenge Cup, we've got the semi-finals of the 1895 Cup, we've got the Women's Challenge Cup final, we've got a game in the Championship and League One randomly thrown in there as well. We've got plenty to talk about.
I think there are lots of topics tonight. We need to talk about recruitment because a lot of the clubs, particularly those towards the bottom of the league,
Apart from mine.
and Wigan, have done a lot of recruitment. I think we need to talk about issues such as should the NRL out their referees? Because I think what's happened over there this morning is pretty disgraceful, to be honest. Referees will make mistakes, but if you're going to hang, draw and quarter them in public, that's a different issue. So I think we can talk about that. But the one thing to start with is hats off to every single player in every game that I saw this weekend. We spend a lot of time talking about administrators. There was a press conference earlier this week where some administrators were put up where it got a huge amount of social media interest because of the backdrop behind it, not what they said. I want to get away from administrators and talk about players. 5 games this weekend, a final and 4 semi-finals. Was some of
Stan Burgess is about to land on your head, but keep talking. It's an omen.
the other
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
good old Sam.
It's not the eye gouge.
Was why we love this sport. If you didn't fall in love with rugby league this weekend as a rugby league fan, having watched mainly heroic defence and underdog performances that either bought a trophy or very nearly got certainly huge amounts of credibility for the team, and you have no soul. I just think what we saw was every reason why the qualities attached to this sport appeal, and irrespective of who won and lost, it was the most uplifting weekend, and that includes the 1895 semis.
Well, I think as well the first talk is got to be Halifax, you know, because before that game started, and I think I predicted a 62-point deficit. Everybody else was thinking 50s. Everybody else, some people were even thinking 70s, and I think it was right to say that. But as Coach Crick said, he said one thing for sure: we're not going to win the game, and one thing for sure, what we're not going to be beat on. We're not going to be beaten by effort and commitment, and also. What surprised me was, certainly the lads who were working in the studios on Saturday, were the element how Halifax played. Well, why were they surprised? Because Halifax was never going to get into the arm wrestle. Halifax was never going to get into a stage where, we're going to take it up, we're going to see how long we can last in the game. Straight from the kick-off, it surprised everybody. Why did it surprise everybody? There was always going to play off the cuff from Blake.
St Helens didn't bring them into the arm wrestle. They tried to force passes and push them.
But the fact is, John, they were never ever going to get into an arm wrestle. And as far as the effort and commitment goes, that was sensational. But also as well, that the way they played that game, the mistakes what they made, because they knew if they were trying to play into that arm wrestle, trying to play the completion rate and trying to play a field position, they would have got hammered, even the conditions from there. But Halifax this weekend for me, from the players, from the club, and the supporters, the supporters were sensational. And when I was watching it, I was thinking, you know what? This is what the Challenge Cup is all about. This is what the Challenge Cup brings. And the disappointing thing for me, again, when I looked at the crowd from there, and again, please, the Rugby Football League, please, this is the biggest competition in World Rugby League. I want this to be filling. If we are having double headers, I want us to fill stadiums. I want other supporters there to watch, because the Challenge Cup is not all about, it's not like the Grand Final, it's all about the two clubs. The Challenge Cup is all about the so-called Rugby League family. The Rugby League family. So why can we not get other Championship clubs going to semi-finals? Why can we not get First Division clubs going? Why can we not get other Super League clubs going from there? There needs to be answers to these questions, because it's simple. Best competition in the world, Halifax, with their supporters, the way they enjoy it from there, and the performance they put on the field. And I'll tell you what, we're talking about a broadcast deal, because we know what's going to happen to the Championship in 2021. After what the Championship team did on Saturday, and the other Championship teams were in there, surely they could get bits from there and go to start saying the broadcaster, this is what we've got week in and week out, and we want to sell the game to you. I'm not trying to sell myself to a job here as a marketing or promotional guy for the RFL, but what I'm saying is, let me tell you this. Halifax was sensational. St Helens players, they knew they were in the game from there. And the great thing, even the St Helens fans after the game were shaking the Halifax supporters, and they were clapping all the Halifax players, and then players knew they were in the game. And I'm getting goosebumps talking about it now, because I absolutely love the Challenge Cup. I
think there were two things that struck me watching it. One, I was thinking of you. You always say play with a smile on your face.
Absolutely.
And irrespective of the fact that we all got the margin wrong, the one thing that Halifax did was they all played with a smile on their face.
Absolutely.
A couple of times they did kick out on the full, but it didn't stop them trying.
And they dropped the ball. But I'll tell you what as well, fellas, if that game could have gone on for under 60 minutes, Halifax would have played for under 60 minutes, because they were enjoying it that much.
And there was nothing to do with the fitness of a part-time
absolutely,
team.
Absolutely.
But there was something on social media today about Barber trying to undo Louis McCarthy-Scarsbrook's laces at a scrum. That's what you want to say.
Of course it is.
But the other thing we said we hoped for was that the Halifax fans would enjoy it for the party that it was.
Oh, yeah.
And they did, partly because of the way that their team played and stayed in it, for 60 minutes. But also because they were determined to make an occasion of it.
But also as well, Phil, what we all know is, this is what the Challenge Cup brings, because the Halifax fans, it's the same with the Felton fans, and it's the same with the Leeds fans, it's the same with the Rangers fans. They don't get to play Super League opposition week in and week out. It's the cup competition that draws them, the David and Goliath situation, as we call it from there. And that's what they love doing. They made it a great occasion. So please, the RFL, please go out there and tell people what the Challenge Cup is all about. I'm looking to play in three finals and lose the three finals, but that's not the point. The Challenge Cup is for everybody in Rugby League, and get out there and sell it. Get out there and sell it.
Jacob Fairbanks told you everything you needed to know about the commitment of the Halifax team. So Scott Morrell, I don't know what he was saying to some of the Saints players, but clearly he was trying to get under their skin, and half the time they were laughing along with him.
Well, do you know what?
Because they don't get that in Super
No,
League.
do you know McCarthy Scars, lost a couple of balls, and he's always pumping up. I would imagine, this is what I would imagine the players would be saying, oh, look at that time, son.
Yeah.
Lucky, just to see what reaction they get from there. That's just not useless, oh, unlucky that time, Louis, unlucky, because he nearly scored that try. You know what he's like, he's always pumped up in there, and the Halifax players, next time, man. It was great to see, absolutely brilliant, and I loved it, absolutely loved it.
Can I bring an element of negativity in from?
Not yet. Well, I've some later.
Hashtag negative.
It's only from Robin. It's only from Robin on Facebook talking about Halifax. He says, "Let's be right. The weather helped facts. They've been shocking all season."
This was a different event. This was
absolutely.
This
It's cup
was
football.
The scent of Wembley
it's
in
cup
their
football.
nostrils.
It's cup football.
And I think, yes, clearly the weather had an influence. I think the other thing that we need to give St Helens credit for is that they didn't and never looked like conceding a try. Their defence was superb.
They didn't panic, did they? They didn't panic.
And the second half, at half time, they were relatively fortunate to be going in only at 8-2. But they came out in the first, 10-15 minutes of the second half, they were absolutely ruthless. And they made sure they were not going to lose it. And Holbrook was absolutely magnanimous afterwards about Halifax, as he should have been. But as he said, there was a huge pressure on St Helens.
Well, how many semi-finals in
Absolutely.
5 years that they've lost? Yeah, you can see he looked relieved.
11
He looked
years
relieved.
since they've been at Wembley, and this is a club that was at Wembley
Absolutely.
virtually every year up to that point.
But also as well, Eamon McManus on the pitch after with the year with the two, Lachlan Cook didn't play, and one of the other foreign guys, he was just embroidering them. This is the Challenge Cup. This is what it's all about. And this is what the Challenge Cup brings. And so that gentleman there who's come on there saying, Halifax have been like most teams. Certainly look at Super League. When you look at the bottom 5 in Super League, Halifax have been inconsistent, but this is cup football. Anything can happen in 18. As has proved what the Challenge Cup has brought, i.e., with Featherstone beating Hull back in 1983 and Sheffield beating Wigan in '98. This is what the Challenge Cup brings.
Bradford beating Leeds earlier this year.
Absolutely, that's what it brings.
I have to say that too many people are extrapolating the standard in the Championship being reflected by the team that is currently 8th.
After 20
That was
minutes.
just a Halifax team that played to the very best of their ability.
In a one-off, yeah.
In a one-off.
Correct.
I don't think you can read too much into the Championship.
Yeah.
What you can say is that we've got some fabulous players below Super League
Absolutely.
who maybe don't do it week in, week out, but put them in that occasion, put them on a stage like that, give them the licence to play, and they were an absolute credit to Rugby League.
You see,
Nobody would have turned that game
correct.
off.
You see also as well, and no disrespect now to the Halifax players, but they are playing at Halifax and they are playing in the Championship for a reason. For a reason. That reason is because they can't play to that level week in and week out. So that's a simple answer. But what Simon Griggs did as a coach, he says, my players will not be lacking effort and commitment. We will not be beaten from that. And do you know what? The players knew that themselves. And they came up with the right sort of game plan. Well, the game plan wasn't the game plan. It was quite simple. We'll play with flair. We'll play with that vision and awareness. We'll play off the cuff Rugby League and see how far it takes us. Tell you what, it was a great show. But yeah, they are at a level because they cannot play that level consistently week in and week out. And that's the reason why they are. And that's no disrespect. That's no disrespect to them. But they would say themselves as well.
No, it was a joyous.
Brilliant. Absolute brilliant.
And I'm pleased for Justin Holbrook, because no doubt one of the other things we need to talk about is the likelihood is of tomorrow we won't be at St Helens next year. They came so close last year. They're going to get the chance to play on at least one major stage, and they deserve to be on it from the way that they played.
There's no story about it. I tell you what, why did you go to the Gold Coast? I watched the Gold Coast.
Because it can't get any worse, can it? He can only take them up.
Oh no, Phil.
Yeah.
No, Phil. I got a job in Super League and I got sacked after 13 games, because I've been...
Difference is that he can coach and you can't.
That's a bit harsh. It's a bit...
Very
Actually, I felt like I'm pretty successful at record reviewing, I'm pretty successful with a Barla under 19, but what I'm saying, why? Because if he makes a toss with that, if he makes a toss...
NRL jobs
if he,
do not grow on trees. He almost got the Knights job a few years ago.
John.
He could be waiting years.
I don't think so, because I think this year it's a chance. But he's going to get the double. He's going to win the Hood Cap and the Challenge Cup. They're in that final. They've not got to the grand final yet. But for me, I think he should at least because there'll be jobs in the NRL Cup again next year. Who's to say the Gold Coast won't sack the new coach after 12 months? Do you know what I mean? But
I don't think that'll happen. But
because the ambition, as Mike said last week, the ambition is here for living that dream is here. Just let's just say, if he wins the treble this year, the ambition then is to do the treble again the year after. I think he should wait 12 months. I don't know, honestly. But if that's what he's decided, that's what he's decided.
Take it because as you say,
he might be a young coach, but he's not a young coach. He's been coaching for 15
only
more
16
years.
jobs and they don't come around that often. But the other thing is, I think if you're going to go into a new competition and try and make a name for yourself, start with the worst team, because the only thing you can do is improve it. And the one
Never
thing,
your fault.
They've got a decent roster.
and
as well.
also the one thing we do know is they can go out and sign a couple
They've
of
got
major
test
players.
internationals. They've got Origin players. They've got some really good young players. Cam Watkins has come over.
How's it going to work for him with a national coach at the side of him?
Well, that is the issue. No one really knows how that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let me tell you this: Mal's record as a coach, apparently Australia, he's only.
His coach at Canberra was not good.
His coaching at club level has been like me, garbage. It's been absolute garbage. The only reason why he does a good job at Australia because absolutely, of course I do. Of course I do.
As me and Phil
I used
said,
to run around him a few times when we were on the pitch, don't worry about, well, not very often to be honest. He used to run over me. But he's only won the World Cup because he's got the best players. But as a coach, exactly.
I said to Phil in the weekend, me and Phil could have coached Cameron Smith.
Even I could have coached Queensland and Australia.
I think there is a gift to melding, very talented players to get the best.
Monday Night Club.
Because you've got so many egos in there. You have to have a certain ability to manage more than coach. But I think if Ash Taylor comes back, obviously he's had a troubled year, not to do with his rugby. He's a very talented kid. I think that he's got some real talent there at the Gold Coast, and they'll be under the radar of everybody else. So I can see why he's taken. It's come at the right time for him. He's served his apprenticeship here for 2 years.
And a treble would be some way to go out, or a double. That would be a way to,
I mean, I don't think
he's turned St Helens round. Look,
don't
forget how bad they were under Kieran Cunningham.
Oh, mate,
and it's not like the roster has changed massively.
The job what he's done at St Helens has been sensational. He was brought there to do a job, from a point, first of all, to change the way the philosophy they're playing, because under Kieran, boy oh boy, it was like watching paint dry. Well, I watched paint dry, to be honest with you. But no, he's turned it around. The consistency from the players play with a smile on their face.
They play a very entertaining brand as well, which if he can bring that to the Gold Coast, he's already better than they're doing at the moment.
But I just think he's 12 months too early for him. I think that challenge would have been next year if he does get the double, or even the treble.
But some coaches might come in at the Gold Coast in the year while he's doing it and take them halfway up the league, and then he doesn't get offered that job. So I can see why.
I've got to respond to Carl on Facebook. He says, "Sorry, Forty20. As you're out there in the ether representing our game, if you talk rubbish, expect to be called on it like anyone else. We do. How many times have we said rubbish on this programme? Plenty of times we've got things wrong. We don't mind being wrong.
Predictions.
Nothing wrong with being wrong. It's when people make things up that you've said that there's a problem. That's the difference."
Telling lies.
So we mentioned about what St Helens, and they're on for a potential treble. Will they beat Warrington at Wembley? Because that was some performance from the Wolves.
They want to be the bride, not the bridesmaids.
I didn't see that one coming, and I don't think any of us did. That we thought though.
I did.
Lee Radford. Well, then you shouldn't be there.
Oh, I think Warrington as well, didn't I?
Did you see Warrington?
Yeah, that's Phil. Before kick off, I'm sitting with him. Yeah.
Lee Radford mentioned in the press conference afterwards that all the clutch moments came from Warrington, and I think we thought before the game that if we're going to be any decisive plays, that it would be the whole players that would be finding. They looked disorganised. They didn't know who was going to make that clutch. Apart from Danny Houghton, who I
just thought it was a fantastic semi-final. I mean, if the final matches up to that game between the two of them, it ebbed and flowed, had some brilliant skills.
Well, I thought Hull would win. Because Warrington's pretty good form, didn't they? Warrington's form was a little bit lacking up. Obviously, they know they can't catch St Helens now from there, so their goal was we need to win this semi-final from there. But I just felt the Hull forwards would have battered Warrington, but the reverse happened. I just felt as though, all right, they might not have battered the Hull forward, but they certainly got the better of the Hull forwards from there, which again, they've laid the platform for good variation for both the half-backs. I thought Patton, he took a bit of pressure off Blake Costa as well, a bit of organisation with the kicking game from there. Stephen Ratchford, which was a massive surprise to everybody about coming from there. He just brings that steadiness.
Better balance to the whole
definitely.
Exactly.
Another
you just said the right word with the balance. He brings that sort of coolness around from there, experience what you get. But the big moments came from Warrington, and you mentioned Hull. I tell you what, Jake Connor, isn't he sulking as a player?
Didn't look happy, did he?
Oh, no way, mate. Isn't he sulking as a player? And I just
Do you think because he was put on the bench?
Maybe so. Oh, there's no two ways about it. Oh, absolutely. He would have been tearing trees, pulling trees up, I should say. Why am I on the bench? Well, at the moment, Connor, you're just not doing it. Jake, you just stop doing it, And Radford, well, I wouldn't like to argue with Lee, to be honest with you, from there, but he came with that call. But when he was on the field, that kick what Austin put through it, Toby King, did you see Jake Connor's effort? I think my 2-year-old grandson made a better effort.
I have to say, you mentioned Blake Austin, and a lot of the key moments in the game centred around him. I thought we've all said that he needs to prove it in a big game. That was the first time this season so far that he stood up and was the best player on the field.
That's because, again, the forwards got a little bit better of the Hull forward. But I just felt Hull's three best players, really. Well, the two wingers. I thought the wingers were outstanding. And Jamie Shaw, Danny Houghton, he does what he does from there. But the rest of them, boy oh boy, well, Well, they went missing. Elliot put that kick across from there, but not a lot of variation. Mark Sneed, kicky game, certainly in the second half, was very poor. But from Hull's point of view, the way their game plan is, I know what that game plan is playing off quick play the balls and there, and Mark Sneed's good field position kick. If that doesn't work, they don't have a plan B.
Tom has been on. He's our Hull fan in Afghanistan. Warrington were better in every area and deserved the win. Daniel says Philbin was absolutely outstanding. Adam's gutted because he had Hull +4 and was robbed because of a forward pass. I can't remember. Seems so long.
He knocked it on. I don't know about Jake Connell's forward pass. It was knocked on from Griffith first to Jake Connell.
Pushed it into
it. It was knocked on. So it wasn't even for the forward pass. It was knocked on.
Andy says no such thing as form in rugby league, there isn't anymore.
Apart from St Helens,
apart from St Helens, yeah, unless they play London. Chris Hill was back to his best, says Daniel. It's not his best game for a while, wasn't it?
Yeah.
William making a point about the championship. I think the championship teams deserve more TV coverage. There's an interesting word here which a lot of people keep using about things, which is deserve. And I don't understand why. Why do they deserve to be on TV more than anything else? We'll see when, and again, people running away with it on social media on Saturday, tweeting Channel 4. Stop tweeting Channel 4. It makes us look so small time as a sport that we're begging for TV.
Richie, do you not think Channel 4 could do like Scrum Down did ITV back in my day?
Rugby League rule.
Yeah. Well, Scrum Down. Remember the Scrum Down?
Yeah.
Because back in them, because also
have a highlight game.
Correct. Because back in them days when it was, and in them days the pubs closed at 10:30. So and Scrum Down was on about 11 o'clock. Everybody used to say, right, the Scrum Downs only were brilliant, and the viewing figures from there. So maybe Channel 4 maybe do something like that. Not about showing live games, but showing showing highlights of the championship from the week. What's gone on?
We'll either find out or not in the near future.
But just going back to Warrington with St Helens, when you've looked at the performances this year between the two sides, Warrington haven't been able to handle Walmsley, Thompson,
I don't think they've been that far off. The last game, St Helens scored that forward pass try,
yeah, correct,
and I think there was a sin binning. They fell away in the last. But for 65 minutes, they were hammering. I think in a one-off game, Warrington can beat them.
Well, but in that performance as well, I think we saw another side of St Helens where they can be patient. They didn't panic. They can be patient. So
that's the thing with St Helens. I've seen them quite a bit lately.
And I think
they coast through games, but against Warrington, they had to go to another level.
Correct.
On Saturday, they made a lot of errors, passes and flows. They were probably a 5 out of 10, and part of that was because Halifax lifted and forced a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
But they knew they could get through that game without playing their best rugby league. In a final against Warrington, they have to, be an 8 or a 9.
What's a shame, I think, is that the teams play each other before the final.
They'll play each other in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It's that. I mean, that is.
Was that the week before the final?
No, it's 3 weeks before.
Saints
2
have
weeks
got Leeds
before
before the final, haven't they? Because Saints going to rest all their players, so Leeds will.
We can, but
conspiracy. David says. David says, great to see you lads have made it big at last. I had to skip an ad to watch on YouTube this evening, David, it's because I only just found out how to do it in the last few weeks. I would like everyone to watch on YouTube because we get paid money. David says, he also says, Scurry, I'm taking the missus to At Bars in Leeds tonight. Any recommendations?
I don't go At Bars, get you sent to, where is it where I go? Agra's, Agra. Yeah, Agra's, nice to have a time up for you. No, I don't use At Bars, go Agra's. Agra, where the BBC is, quality. Mention my name. You get charged extra.
I'll spit in your curry.
We don't mention the BBC anymore. We don't like them.
They've got another one in Chapelton. Go there.
Before we move on to serious things, I was just opening the paper to look at something. Everyone's moaning about the, what's it called, photo game?
How good is that photo?
I know, this is, photo bit last week from the vending machine thing.
Yes, backdrop gate is Steve.
Whoever does the pictures in League Express has deliberately chosen that one of Brian Barwick that sat behind Ralph Rimmer. What Ralph's hat? Come on. What are you doing? I know you can't see it. Go buy the paper. Go, even though apparently they're rubbish and full of made up stuff. And that's just a letters page. Go buy your local newspapers about rugby league because,
Well, just on that, Brian Barwick defending his record, he turned up, went to a lot of meetings. You were there on Wednesday, Phil. What did you make of it at the RFL Council? It's probably because you're in a 3-piece suit, but
always.
Yeah, what did you make of Brian Barwick defending his?
I think the issue for the written media that were there. I mean, there was obviously the broadcast media were there and stood at the side of the pitch and got some really good quotes, which is great. The written media weren't allowed, or there wasn't the time to do one-to-one interviews. And I think that's what we would have wanted. Of all the people that were on that table, I think Tony Adams would have been our first choice. Probably Simon Johnson our second choice, because he's in the seat now. Well, what's your plans? Even if it's 6 months. But because it was all four and top table only, you could only ask questions to that table, it was dominated by Brian's farewell speech. And with the greatest respect to Brian, yesterday's man. That wasn't the quotes that really should be filling newspaper columns or magazine features. Same with Carl Hall, great bloke. We all know Carl. I think we've all got a lot of time for the work that he's trying to do at Doncaster and the story that he tells, and I'm old enough to remember him playing as well. But Carl is a vice president. You know, you want to speak to the president. So I think what let it down was the fact that we didn't really get the chance to ask Tony more detailed questions about why he liked rugby league. We know now why he took up the role, which is great. And of course, Brian, being more of an orator, took over proceedings.
An orator? You big
He
words,
he
obviously.
speaks well.
He speaks well, but
He speaks well.
does he do anything else?
When his
Like
book,
us
when his
behind
book
Brian
comes
Barwick.
out, we'll find out.
What's the
I
book?
went
His
to a
other
lot of
book?
meetings, so I got a lot
Okay.
of trains.
Do you want to read his other book? His last book?
You know, it's interesting what he said when he said, you know, I still think I can be an ambassador for the sport.
Well, he is the president of the World Cup.
Well, why has he got that position as well? And,
It's an unpaid position, I was told, so it's all
It is a
right.
voluntary
Yeah,
position.
yeah.
But, well, how can he... Well, I'll tell you what, I go to the president of the World Cup thing. I won't pay for it either. You know, I could do a better job than him. I could go out to the sponsors and tell people what the greatest game of all, what it's all about, what the World Cup means. I played the World Cup final in 1992, what it means to players, you know, from
Should've
there.
won it.
So why are we not using ex-players? Why are we not using ex-players? Yeah, we should have won it actually. Yeah, John
It's
Devereux.
your
John Devereux.
Story
Steve-
your career, isn't it, Scott?
Yeah. John Devereux wouldn't get like Stephen Hoff get on the outside. He won't fit the show. You don't
Yeah,
let
run off often enough. You'll score a try.
You don't let Stephen Hoff get on the outside of you from there. You know, but then he's saying, I could be an ambassador for the sport. How could he be an ambassador for the sport?
One person who will be an ambassador for the sport, having listened to what he had to say, is Tony Adams. And I think the fact that, was it 3 national newspapers had a story on the back page?
Former England captain, you know. I mean, he is a big name.
And some of the things he was saying clearly are to promote his Sporting Chance clinic, where there is a very close synergy between his
Well, I don't want him promoting his Sporting Chance. I want him to be promoting rugby league.
I think
that's what he's there
the two
for.
go together.
That's what he's there for.
He spoke really highly of the players he'd come in contact with, partly through Sporting Chance.
Right, I asked you a question last week. Did he know Schofield, Hanley, Edwards, Gregory, Crooks, Lydon? Did he know anything about the history of the game? No.
I think he will learn some of that in the period that he's in, the post that he's in. But more importantly, he was quite unequivocal that he was going to high profile the sport.
Right, so
we don't have a spokesperson for rugby league.
Right, so if I get my invite to the Royal Ports, I normally do for the Challenge Cup, right, and I got Tony Gary Schofield, will he know I am? Will he just go?
Someone's going to tell you.
Next year, you know who I am.
No, John, you know where I'm coming from.
I know where you're coming from.
Would he know that I played the greatest game of all? That's what I'm saying.
You'd like to think someone would give him a crash course.
But I think he'd be interested enough to know who you were.
Yeah.
I don't think he can know everybody and everything about the sport the minute he only took over on Wednesday at that council meeting. But I think he's the kind of engaged bloke that would like to hear your story. So if you engaged with him at the Challenge Cup final, and you were introduced as
so the other guys going to be
Hall of Fame,
like Murphy and Boston.
He'll take the time to find out who you are.
Hopefully, Andy,
I'd like to think there's a mutual respect because
There
you
is.
I mean for him, for you, and vice versa, because you've both played at that league level.
Tony Adams, as a professional footballer, Tony Adams has been captain for England. The respect he's got for me, the respect he has for me is 1,000%. As a sportsman,
I think it would be mutual.
This is what I'm saying. Yeah. Oh no, but the question is, my question is, what is he going to bring to our greatest game of all? As far as a professional sportsman, he has got 1,000% respect for me for what he's achieved as a footballer.
I think the first thing is profile.
First thing he bought was 3 back pages.
Yeah.
And does it often enough and for long enough and gets involved enough, I think you'll find that all the things he says about the sport are very positive. And when he speaks, he gets.
Did he present the trophy this year? Who's presented the trophy this year? Do we know?
Also, he's not come out and said, I've got a black book. And I know shake hands or whatever. I'm going to do this and this, and then not deliver. I think he's smart enough to realise what he can and can't do.
And he clearly is in awe of the
Active
people that play the sport. He was honest enough to say he's only been to 2 or 3 games, speaks a fair bit to Stuart Pearce. Obviously, they've got a mutual relationship for having played together at the top level for a long time.
He'll become a Warrington fan then.
And what is, well, it's Tony Smith that got him involved in
That's
the
what Pearce is. He's a massive Warrington fan, is Pearce. He loves Warrington.
So, I think you'll find that he has the utmost respect for everybody that plays this sport and did play it. And if he does it for often enough, his presidential role will bring us a profile.
Right, okay.
I think Phil, 4020 magazine, you should invite Prince Harry to guest edit it. Because that seems to be a thing that's done with the Royals at the minute. So that'll be, just send them a message and then they can reply and say,
He's in Wembley this year. What role's he? Harry at Rugby League.
Patron.
So will he be at the Challenge Cup final this year?
I think it's just again, without going into the time of the Challenge Cup final, I think you've got more chance of getting in there when it moves to July next year. So I think that holiday weekend at the end of August is an absolute killer for a lot of people.
Right, hold on.
And he won't be able to get East Coast mainline train to get to the game.
When was he appointed patron? 2 years ago, wasn't it?
I think so.
yeah, but who was the patron before and did they do much?
The Queen.
Well, the Queen. She hasn't been for a while, has she? She's been
No, but what I'm saying
She's been her own thing.
but what I'm saying is, if he's been the patron for the last 2 years, we know when the Challenge
Big
Cup
South
is.
fan.
Why don't we contact the people at Buckingham
sure
Palace
we
and
do.
say, listen, we would like, so what we know, so 2 years ago,
Ralph's got
with
their
my
number.
maths, that's 2017, we'd like Harry in 2019, can you take the diary? I'm a thick lad from Belial and I could easily organise that, do you know what I'm saying?
It's just-
I could easily contact him on CFAX, Prince Harry, can you make the Challenge Cup final in
Prince Harry
2019?
on Twitter.
Do you know what I mean?
It's
called
where they
communication
are.
being transparent.
I think that weekend is just an appalling weekend for everybody. The royal family go and live in Sandringham or something, don't they, for the entire month of August, or whatever they do, I don't know what they do.
So-
But it's not easy.
Send him a shirt. Send him a Great Britain shirt.
New Great Britain shirt.
New Britain
Well,
shirt.
yeah.
Nice, isn't
Which
it?
you will be able to
He always-
win one
he
of
always-
in the next issue of
They
football.
always seem to be at big football games and rugby union games, so why can't we be smart?
Well,
Maybe it's the time.
When we talk about
And
profile,
Invictus games too.
when we talk about profile, there's no bigger profile, is there?
He likes rugby union. Bilko says, our friend, Ray French should be presenting the trophy. Done one night for his 30 odd years of cup coverage, recently retired. We should honour that. I was watching the famed 101 tries, brackets and a kick, which is on YouTube. I was showing my nephews it the other day to show what rugby league used to be. I'm very amused by the hair of the people in the 70s. What is the key fact from that video? Ray French's culture, obviously legendary. But Leeds, they're on the telly all the time in the 70s. Don't be pretending that it's just now when they're rubbish. They're rubbish in the 70s, they're on telly all the time.
We took Challenge Cups in the 70s.
Rubbish is everything else. But it's good to see Leeds on the telly, scoring all the players Scotty talks about on the telly, scoring all the tries. Sure, he's always there, Ray. He gets a credit for it.
What about, because Alex Murphy, he's
He'll be the oldest. He'll be one of the
Yeah, but
oldest.
Murphy's, he's in the Hall of Fame. Winton and St Helens, he'd be a good shout to present the trophy. We've had players like Malcolm and Nyanori the last couple of years.
No, it's a great
I think Murphy would be great. He would be great to.
Is that
to
the
have
campaign?
the Challenge Cup.
We're starting that campaign
Huh?
now.
Yeah.
Alex Murphy to present the Challenge Cup.
There you go.
You heard it here first.
If you've got any suggestions, that's that kind of thing they do on cheap radio, isn't it? Tweet us out. At 4020.
Listen, people, don't be selling this. Give it to Scotty and he said ever get to the Challenge Cup. Oh, I've heard it all before. Oh.
Well, I mean, we're hoping in future, obviously on this programme, apart from John, because he's Australian, we share 46 Great Britain caps. We're hoping in the future, in the near future, we'll be able to share a Challenge Cup winners medal. Which we obviously
No, I'm
can't
sorry.
do at the moment.
Listen, I'm sorry, but I'm not sharing my caps with Wales. Not a chance. There's 3 of us tonight who's got 46.
Heritage? Residency?
Get lost.
I've got through 40 minutes in the programme, he's not upset you or the Australians yet, so that time will come because we need to talk about the
Scotty's history lesson.
Do you want to do the 1895?
Do you want to do that
and
first?
then, because I think there's a lot of implications about the women's game
Yes.
that
let's
we
talk
could talk about.
I'm glad you're here, Phil, because we do need some proper guidance. I just go off like that. The AB Sundex 1895 Cup semi-finals have been played, and it's bad news for Lee. I got a bit of criticism yesterday on Twitter because I said Daisy should have just bought Lee or Widnes. John's here. I forgot that you're banned from Lee anyway, so it doesn't matter.
And he lives in Sheffield.
They did buy a load of players when they got rid of a load at the end of last
They were
season.
going into administration, Rich.
So they bought all these players to A, get promotion, which I can't see happening.
Could happen.
And which could happen, it could. And you know, Lead A's team out of Wembley, and sadly for Leigh, nothing against them and their supporters, but they lost to a spirited Widnes Vikings side. I was working yesterday afternoon, so I had this on in the corner of the studio. Every time I looked up, it was Ben Thaler. The Ben Thaler show is there on the telly, pointing at people and sending them to the bin. Rich Clark, what a debut!
Yes.
3 minutes in,
tackle.
bin.
He reffed it really well, I thought. It could easily have got out of control, but having a senior referee there who stamped his authority on very early on, sent 2 players to the sin bin and said, I'm not going to accept it degenerating. I thought Ben Thaler was fantastic.
What did he get sin bin for fighting? Or?
Yeah, but the pushing
But it hadn't worked.
What people still think is the biff and all that. But Leigh are out, Widnes are through. They go to Wembley for the first time since '93, which was my first cup final. When they lost to Wigan. But great defence from Widnes again. Anthony Gelling, the man of the people, he did a try. So social media is all excited about that. 2-2 at half time. Nearly 4,500 people there.
Crowd.
Success. The competition is a success now.
Cup Kings, Widnes, okay, Cup
Yeah.
Kings, that's what
I have
that's
to
what
say,
the label in
I
77, 80s.
Enthralled by the full 80 minutes. I thought that
That's the wrong phrase to use on this programme. The whole of the match.
over the entire period that the ball
The
was
2 halves.
Yes.
Yeah.
The 2 hours of 40 minutes. The new podcast coming through.
The Widnes defence was fantastic in the same way, I think, with the kind of enthusiasm that Halifax had shown the day before. But the 2 tries that they crafted were of the highest quality. Again, you're not going to get many opportunities in a game like that, particularly going to Leigh and playing as the underdogs, but they pulled out a move that they used to run in the academy where the ball was flicked inside by Danny Craven and Jack Owens ripped brilliantly and scorched over in the corner. And on all of social media today, the try where they keep the ball moving and Jordan Johnson kicks over the top for Gelling to score. They are 2 of the best tries you could see at any level. And then they defended that magnificently. And it wasn't that Leigh didn't throw a lot at them, they did. It's just that I think what helped Widnes was the game against Toronto the week before, where they went close to beating them with a lot of young, talented players who've come through the system, and they survive on spirit and honesty and wanted to play for each other. And I think that was a difference. Leigh have brought quite a few players in recently and they're still getting to know each other. So Mitch Clark was trying too hard when he came on. I think it might have been his first carry. It was the 3rd tackle of the match that he was involved with an incident that saw him sin. And they still have to some extent, a collection of talented individuals that isn't the same as a team that Widnes were. But for the full time the game was in play, you couldn't take your eyes off it. And
I think as well.
it was and it meant so much to both Widnes and Sheffield, who both have history recently, who both go through really difficult times, that they will be running out at Wembley.
I think as well, another credit we're going to give to the coach Pertell as well at Widnes, you know, because adversity, what he's gone through, you know, and just keeping, you know, from a point of view, keeping the players motivated, wanting to come and play for Widnes, and again, you know, come to work with a smile on your face, you know, and what better motivation than going to Wembley to play at Wembley? It doesn't matter what competition. Is you playing at Wembley? You're playing at the National Stadium. You're playing for a trophy. So yeah, the play is magnificent. But I tell you what, give great credit to the coach from there by getting a tune out of his players from there. And well, the same Widnes known as the Cup Kings back in my day against Sheffield. We all know what happened at Sheffield when the Wigan over in 1998. I think it's a great story. Again, it's a great story. Yeah, the curtain raiser after the Challenge Cup would say, but it's at the National Stadium. And it's great for the Rugby League.
And I think a lot of people have said, you know, if that game was played before, and this is the first year, it's going to have some teething problems. They're going to have to find the way through the
shame.
I
know
it is a shame. But what I would say is that for the fans of Widnes, who were absolutely elated for, admittedly at the moment, the small band of Sheffield fans, but those that stuck by them since the club was reformed in 99 after all of that ridiculous merger with Huddersfield, to give them a day in the sun, even if they're the only people in the stadium, even if there's only 8,000 or 9,000 people there, they will never forget that.
Correct.
The players may never play on that stage again.
Absolutely.
The fans may never have the chance to. You know, quite a lot of the Widnes fans from '93. There's almost a generation that haven't seen them play at Widnes at Wembley. It is going to be fantastic, and if there is a chance, if you go into the other main game, to stay on and watch it, trains permitting, do, because I think it means everything to these players, and they deserve a crowd there to support them.
I'm going to say something now, and people might get upset, so I apologise in advance, but I'm going to say it anyway. Next year, when we plan everything properly for Wembley, should the 1895 Cup final take the place of the schools final, and that be played at another stage? Because obviously it costs to hold events at Wembley. Do they charge per hour or something? I think they charge. It costs a lot of money.
I think they've said the 1895 Cup is going to cost the RFL £100,000 for staging.
Every member of press who goes to Wembley for the final, who's accredited, they get charged for the tickets, the RFL.
Yeah.
So, which makes a mockery of those people who just turn up and aren't there for any particular reason, but there you go. But we go to Wembley every year. We get there whenever the gates open, and the schools final comes out, and there is no one there bar their friends and family, because the gates haven't opened yet officially by the time they kick off. So I don't want to take away the opportunity for a group of young people to play at Wembley, but from a business perspective...
How long is the school's final? How long does it take?
I think it's about an hour.
Also,
And then there's the presentations as well.
Oh, right.
So you'd like to think they could find some way to
so
keep
they don't
it.
play, so I thought they might play 15, 20 minutes. What
No,
it's a full-
yeah.
Oh, is it a full,
it's
full game? is it?
half an hour.
Right,
But I
right.
understand what you mean, Rich.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to...
Yeah.
I
In a
don't want to
perfect
take
world,
it away.
world, we'd have all three in all going up to the main event. But yeah,
The other
it's a
thing
tough choice.
we will no doubt talk about is, where do you play the Women's Challenge Cup final?
Well, yes.
Where do you
Oh,
play
yeah.
the Women's Grand Final? Because I don't think yet we've necessarily finished on the 1895, but one of the things we need to talk about with the Women's Challenge Cup final, it's brilliant to have it as a triple header, but should that now be at Wembley? Should that be before the men's final? Because it clearly, as a standard of entertainment, is worthy of it. I think having praised Widnes, we also need to praise Sheffield. Defensive performance was fantastic. Can't fault Batley's effort, but I think if they were still playing, they'd have struggled to score. They couldn't hold the ball. It was pouring rain on an artificial pitch. Wasn't easy to handle the ball, but Sheffield made very few mistakes. And in Patchwalk standoff, I thought they had the outstanding guy. Played it a little bit like St Helens did the day before. Minimised their mistakes, took the chances that were offered, defended really valiantly. We all know, and Liam Claffey, the general manager at Sheffield, is a good friend of ours, that the trials and tribulations that that club has had, through playing touch football in the city, how hard people are trying to keep rugby league going.
Yeah.
They've got the World Cup now coming up in 2021.
Yeah, it's a big plus.
Which they've already started promoting really heavily, and Bramall Lane is going to be involved in that. They now have a team that's going to Wembley, and I wouldn't rule them out. The way that the solidity they showed as well, not dissimilar to Widnes. How big is it for Sheffield?
I think it could be very big. Yeah, I think for the fan base, the existing fan base, it's massive. I think obviously the stadium still needs to come quite a ways, which is out of, unfortunately, the club's hands. They're relying on whatever it is, the Olympic Legacy Park Trust, which involves Sheffield United, because it's going to be their latest team, and Richard Cabourn. But yeah, the club's going. It's going along. I think it's definitely an area, Sheffield, South Yorkshire, that rugby league should be looking at and trying to build up, because the city is sort of moving in the right direction. There's a lot of university students. People get introduced to the game who don't know it from there. So there's a lot of potential there. And looking at Bramall Lane, I mean, Sheffield United in the Premier League, they're already talking about expanding it. So that would be another venue. It's a good city to come and visit. So.
And you talk about the job that Kieran Purcell's done, absolutely. But how was it for Mark Aston that he's going to be leading his team out? Well, if any guy epitomised keeping a club going in the toughest of circumstances.
Well done to Aston as well, because every year, he gets a tune out of the players. He gets, they're always knocking on the door here, there, and everywhere, and. Yeah, and he was a Leinster Trophy winner when they won it in '98, wasn't he? So yeah, it's great for him to lay the tide out. But also he had the experience, and Keith Seeney's his assistant coach from there, and to the build up, it wasn't a matter of coming up with the right game plan or this sort of thing. It's a matter of this is Wembley. We merely get the chance to play there once, so don't blow the situation. So they would have been counting all their memories from there. Reading in the League Express, Paul Broadbent was in I don't know who before or after, and just telling them what it's all about playing at Wembley.
His son's in the team.
This is what the National Stadium brings from there. So yeah, well done again to Aston. He's got the tune out of the players, and delighted for Sheffield, delighted for him. Yeah.
Right, here we go. A couple of comments on Wembley and the schools thing. Liam says, less kids are playing rugby. Many are introduced to the game at high school with the prospects of playing at Wembley. You move schools final away and it's another nail in the coffin for our game. Jim Mills, he knows more than I do, says, many great players have played in the schools final at Wembley. It has history, must keep it as a curtain raiser. The only problem is, and the only reason I'm saying
Kevin
to
Sinfield,
move
didn't
it is because there's just too many things we want to put in. We want to put in this SOP to the Championship clubs, the 1895 Cup, but we can't put it where it should be because it doesn't fit in. Unless we have the Championship Cup kick off at 5 o'clock, and it's not going to be on BBC One if we kick off at 5 o'clock. It's just logistics. Tricky question. Well, I don't have to answer. I could just come up with theories and say whatever.
I think
I'm not running the sport. So.
There is a case for saying that we need to look at the whole thing, but if it is purely down to cost, and how long you hire the stadium for, then we go back to everything we've ever said. We go back to what can Tony Adams maybe bring in talking to commercial partners. We just need to get more money into the sport.
You see, also, yeah, but again, you see, we know when the Challenge Cup is, again, as I mentioned earlier, the Challenge Cup, it's there for everybody. It's there for everybody. So again, from the RFL, the governing body, it's their cup competition. What does Wembley hold? No.
80,000.
80,000. So let's just say we filled it out. What is it? I don't know if it's 85,000 to say. How much money would that bring in for us? So this surely has got to be the team go to the RFL to sell. Doesn't matter who's playing
When's the
there.
last time I filled it go?
But John, right? And I said, we're not going back to.
I think
go
I had
back
a
to my day.
conversation. I had a conversation with.
When we played in '85, there were 98,000 people there. But John, wasn't
The
just
world's changed though. That's
no,
the
but mate, it wasn't. But what I'm saying is, it wasn't just for the whole Wigan fans.
The
It was
sport.
Leeds, St Helens, Warrington, Barwick. Everybody
The sport was bigger then than it is now
And
in
also,
terms of national profile. And the thing is, there wasn't a grand final. There wasn't a magic weekend. People now. They pick and choose, and you're getting the same people who would go to the Challenge Cup. There are very few.
It's also at the right time of the year, and I think the one mistake we've really made is moving to August.
Right, I'll buy into that. It's the wrong time.
We talk about kids, and Jim Mills quite rightly talks about how kids don't go in August because they're in the
school holidays,
final throws. They're some of the last bank holiday before they go back to school. So stick it back to where it's going in July, and make a real event of it.
I'll give you that one easily, but. The thing with the Challenge Cup, John, it's not like the Grand Final. The Grand Final is for two clubs. The Challenge Cup is for everybody, not just Super League, First Division or League One. It's for the amateur clubs as well. How many amateur clubs now take the buses like they used to do years and years ago? I just can't understand why we're not selling the biggest club competition. And it's an event. It's an occasion.
We're not selling it because we're asking teams like Toronto and Catalan and Toulouse to effectively not be in it. So we need to decide what we want out of the. If you want it to be and we all do, the high-profile jewel in the crown, move it away a little bit from the grand final, which we're doing. But also, you don't start putting artificial restrictions on anybody to be in it. Toronto have to be in it if they're part of the family.
I agree.
So
everybody's in it.
Have to be in it. They can't decide that they are going to be in it or they're not.
I agree. They've got to be in it. But the question what I'm asking is. Why are we not getting supporters there from everywhere like we used to do? Why are we not getting supporters?
I don't think that they feel that they can be part of it anymore because you're very rarely going to get a shock at a Featherstone at Wembley. But I think the 1895 Cup partly solves that. It's having it at the right time. There's no reason why Championship teams shouldn't go and watch Widnes play Sheffield.
I agree.
There's no reason why
it's a game of rugby league. This is what I'm saying. It's a game of rugby league. It's an occasion. It's an event. It's an occasion. Forget about who's there. It's an occasion where we should be celebrating rugby league. It's our biggest game for me. Forget about the grand final. It's the biggest occasion on the rugby league calendar. It's on the BBC. It's on normal television where millions and millions of people watch it. But we should be having the crowds getting there. And it's everybody's pie. It's a challenge.
And I think the other thing that we've said for years is that you can't have 9 weeks between rounds.
I agree.
Because you don't build up any excitement.
Absolutely.
So get it right, put it in the right time of the year.
Absolutely.
And then you'll get people going back to it.
Absolutely. Do you know when you saw the highlights the other day when the BBC, and by the way, the BBC did a great job on Saturday for me, and when you showed it out when Halifax beat St Helens back in 1987, it was rammed. It was absolutely rammed.
But that's
why can't we get...
Because it was pre-Super League and it did change the world. We did have the professional element and the semi-professional element. We need to bring that back together, which you can partly do by having the 80-95 Cup because it gives semi-professional
Right,
teams
so-
the
right.
chance to play on
You
that stage.
just mentioned another word there. Bring back together.
Yeah.
We need to bring everybody back together. That's including amateur teams.
Absolutely.
That's including people that work in men's clubs and this sort of thing.
Yeah.
First division, championship, and everybody in Super League to celebrate.
Kids.
To celebrate the greatest competition. I can remember when Harry Jackson brought the Challenge Cup to Clapgate when I was only 8 and 9, and delighted there when Kevin Dick and John Holmes and Aki were there, and
But they can't
Challenge
do
Cup
that
was
at the end
brilliant.
of August because the school's not even open.
Absolutely.
So we've got to get all. I know that there are some Super League clubs through their foundations that want to run those trips again for kids, for school kids, because they're all doing a lot of work in schools, and they all are saying we can subsidise and help take kids down to Wembley. You can't do it in August.
Does anyone at the RFL know anyone who has experience in marketing big sports events? Maybe they've got their number on their phone. I don't know.
HEA.
Got some sandwiches, some cucumber sandwiches. I think. Paul's asked why have we brought Toronto into the discussion. I don't know.
Because they didn't play in the Challenge Cup, and you can't claim to be the competition of the family of the sport if you're denying people the chance to be in it.
Matt's bringing up the cost of tickets there. I mean, obviously, I don't know because I'm paid to go to watch the Challenge Cup final for a few years now.
I think it's more the whole thing.
Yeah,
It's
the
more,
hotel,
it's the hotel
50 quid for or more, 80 quid for a train, 70 for a hotel
On a
room.
bank holiday weekend, it's going to get you twice, because not only is it going to get you that you're staying over and you're getting a train, but on that particular weekend, the prices are more anyway.
Yeah.
So, again, move
That
it
is
away.
that is an element, yeah.
It's all going on. Should we get some bad stuff out of the way first?
Yeah, go on.
Because I know we started all positive. Well, after
Hashtag bullies.
after the like preamble of the show, which doesn't count as part of the official program.
Said about that later on.
We've spoken about the Challenge Cup semi-finals at Bolton. One, I asked people on Saturday what they made of the venue. A few complaints about not being able to get in until 10 minutes before the women's final started, so couldn't watch the warm-ups or whatever. Food selling out, drink selling out. I think as we learnt last year at Bolton, that is a stadium issue and hasn't changed this year. We'll come on to whether we like double headers or not in a moment. Obviously, the big negative of Saturday is someone being racially abused for doing their job.
Yeah.
We can't have that in rugby league. We can't have that in society. And I know people saying it's a society issue. It is, but we are part of that society. It's all right going on social media as people have done, mainly because of whoever their club is, their support, and they decide that, why people take anything as a criticism against their club because of idiots, I don't know. Well, they are idiots themselves. Just because someone's wearing your shirt doesn't mean they're allowed to do whatever they want, and that goes for supporters and players and everyone. Someone shouldn't be abused for doing their job at a rugby match or anywhere, and the fact that people think it's okay to do so, and I don't care if they've had drinking, they've been drinking all day or whatever, there's no excuses. And I hope that the footage is handed over to Hull and the RFL, and those people are banned for life. No one would think otherwise, but stop making excuses. Stop coming on and saying things like, why, there's thousands of people there who didn't. It doesn't matter about the thousands of people who acted in the right way. It doesn't matter about that. We need to get rid of the minority. We need to have no one associated with our sport who is a Burke. And that's as, I know I swore last week and didn't mean to, but you know what those people are. And if you're protecting them, you're as bad as them. Can't have that.
I think there's a couple of issues. One is we've lost the element of self-censorship. And I don't know about what it was like growing up watching Manly in Australia, but I know that when I first started watching rugby league 100 years ago, if you were out of line, you got a clip round the ear from your father or your grandfather, because there was that whole familial thing, and the crowd looked after itself. There was an element of behaviour that was tolerated, and there was an element that clearly wasn't. And if we'd have heard somebody making racist remarks, the crowd themselves would have taken it upon themselves to either identify or reject the culprit, and that seems to have gone. And I think whichever club it is, some other fans of that same club were throwing bottles. Again, it's not difficult to identify amongst yourselves who they are. That it's your reputation that they are besmirching. So go up to them and stop them doing it.
It's the sport's reputation, isn't it?
And I think the other thing is we have no concept of stewarding in rugby league anymore.
No.
Now this catch-all rugby league is a family game is pathetic. We need to stop it. it doesn't stop it. Just because you put something on a tannoy that nobody takes any notice of,
Everyone goes, woo!
is not sufficient to deal with the issues. And if it means, again, we have to pay for more stewards, because sadly in society you do need to police events, we have to do it, particularly when they're events run by the governing body. That it wasn't down to any individual club, it's down to the individual club to make sure that they take the appropriate action to find who these people are. But I didn't see any steward in the semi-final that would have dealt with something like that.
No, neither did I, actually.
And I just think, again, that you cannot call yourself a family sport. I'm not sure we should anyway. I think there are issues about that. If you're going to have elements of that kind of behaviour within your fan base.
So he's not just walked off in protest.
Yeah.
He's got to collect
I
the
think he's
cost.
just gone to learn. No, I think like you said, what you
I
said.
the meeting with Brian Barwick. What's it long? I've started it. No, I finished it.
He turns up. Don't you dare say anything about his attendance record.
No, I finished it.
He's been on all the trains.
Cheers, Brian.
No, I think what you said, Rich, is spot on. The same with Phil. I mean, there was an incident at a Super League game earlier this year. What's it? Nothing. You know, that's the sad thing, that, you know, are we actually going to see some action out of this? Some repercussions, because as you said, that sort of behaviour should not be tolerated, and you know, the sport should come down hard on them. So.
I mean, you've played at the highest level. You've heard of and had vilification and abuse from the terraces.
You'll do.
Yeah, but that's justified.
Yeah. When you've got those ladies' classes, you kind of deserve it.
Is it getting worse? I mean, you're now sat in amongst a lot of the crowd. Do you think it's an issue? Have we got a problem?
I don't think it's a massive problem, but even though with the small minority, I say we need to identify them and get rid of them. Simple as that. No, I don't think it's a massive problem, but again, even if it's just an handful of people or a dozen people, we just need to get them out of the game and get them identified and get.
I think the difference today, and it goes back to what Scully said at the very start of the program, is people hide behind a keyboard or a fake Twitter account or whatever, and there's, you know, abuse, and there's no repercussions. Yeah. Someone will never come up to you in the street and say, you know, or they might just go, but you know what I mean. Like, yeah, they don't do that. They just hide behind an online thing, and that's I think the modern society way that it is, which is quite sad, really. You know, I think common decency is definitely.
I am pleased that the victim of the racist abuse, who was a very well-known local television journalist, has gone public on it.
Yeah.
I don't think that detracts in any way.
That takes guts too.
It really does, because he must have known that as soon as he did that and accused a particular set of supporters of doing what they did.
He's going to get trolled, isn't he?
Yeah. But I'm so glad that he did. I think it was exactly the right thing to do. I think he again forced the RFL to follow him on Twitter and say, look, we intend to do something about it. We'll work with you on the club concerned. I think we have to be grown up and responsible about this. And I would say we'll all be at games the next weekend. If we hear something that, you know, shouldn't be shouted and is intolerant and abusive, we have to take some responsibility for that as well.
I think again another thing in society, what is massively missing certainly from our days, isn't, is respect. Is that where respect?
Yeah, mutual respect. Yeah.
There's no, you know, the respect now is so on, and you know, as you mentioned, the keyboard warriors and all this sort of thing. But no.
As well.
Do you get much trolling on CFAX?
No.
He doesn't want trouble.
John, don't drop yourself to these levels. I'm sorry, because I get all my updates from CFAX.
Yeah.
The CFAX big in Australia.
He's just heard that Great Britain took
Yeah,
in
I
1996.
think you just learned that Balmain were in the grand final in '89.
Yeah, I've just learned him to play for Balmain.
It's still Balmain, that's the thing.
Hey?
We didn't really talk about the Great Britain show before we get on to the main event of this programme tonight. It's nice, isn't it? It's 50 quid. I like those jackets that look like from Scully's era. That's good. Hope Umbro don't sue them. But yeah, 50 quid, Great Britain. It's blue and red, and it's got blue shirts.
I'd like to see the V a little bit more further down, to be honest with you.
You're not in the video either, which is disappointing.
I'm not in the video.
I don't think
What video did
they did a video with all these great moments, you know, like John.
Yes.
Is it? I didn't see you.
But I say, yeah, but I'd like to say, I'd just like to,
Without the shoulder pads.
yeah, she'll destroying in 92 Melbourne, don't worry about that. But I'd like to see the V. I'd like to see the V a little bit more further down, to be honest with you. But overall, Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah.
I like the tradition. I think they've retained the history. And
Oh, they've
tradition.
got to do. Hey, listen.
What's the
Listen,
long term? I haven't heard the long term plan. Are
Sell
we
some
going to have
shirts.
this every 4
Make
years?
some money.
Are we going to have every? Yeah, because I think to bring it back is great, but you've got to. If it's just
Are you,
brought back
are you
for
asking
one.
if there is an international calendar in place?
Not
more,
officially.
Was it an
more than
international
this
calendar we
winter.
send? Yeah.
We don't
'Cause-
officially know England are playing next year against. Well, no, we do.
What is it? Great Britain playing Australia next year?
No, it's England.
No, it's in.
It's England.
Build up for the World Cup.
So it's England playing Australia next year.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was
So-
the plan 6 months ago.
So
So
surely
Great,
after the next
so Great
World
Britain's
Cup,
back this year. So the next year it's England 2020. Then the World
No,
Cup 2021. So when's Great Britain
Well,
coming?
you'd want Great Britain then to go to.
well, it should maybe 2023. There should be a
Kangaroos
Yeah.
or the
Lions
kangaroos
Yeah.
still here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that would be. I think everyone would be excited about it, and you've got to get these things
Well,
locked in a year.
to be honest with you, it was pathetic that the Great Britain Lions was got shut of in the first place by that idiot Richard Lewis, who's, you know, as we all know where he is nowadays.
But to respect him.
And just honestly, hey, listen. When he disbanded the
Hashtag
Great
film again.
when he disbanded the Great Britain
I'm gonna
Lions,
do- I'm gonna
when he
defend
disbanded,
him.
when
He didn't.
when
He didn't. I was there.
when he
when
disbanded
said
the Great Britain Lions for
it was going to
money.
run every 4 years.
For
he
money
said.
from Sport England. That's what he did it
Yes.
for, Phil. That's
Yeah,
what
no,
he
no,
did
that's
it for.
what it's
money,
written down.
money for Sport England.
But the plan was the 4th year the Lions were always going to come back. That's
Well,
what
why
they
didn't
wanted.
it then? Why
Well,
didn't it?
I think by then he wasn't even there.
He was there for 10 years.
Well,
He was there
but
for
he
10 years.
didn't do it at the beginning of his
He
tenure.
disbanded. The last Lions tour was 97, then he got disbanded, and he was there for 10 years.
The last game they played was 2007.
Sorry, 2007. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, 2007. He came in 2006, I think, didn't he? So 2007 he was disbanded,
No,
and he was there for 10 years. So
He'd gone on before then.
anyway.
But it was done for financial reasons, so that they could tap
Yeah,
into Sport England.
wrong, totally wrong.
But they were never disbanded. It's just they stopped playing because we can never put an international calendar together for more than a half a year ahead of us. We don't know yet, and we're promised that they're on their way. The venues for the 2020 Test matches. We should be able to buy a ticket.
Yeah.
Pete says there's no larger size in the Great Britain. There must be big size. I mean, I'm not checked. They must have big sizes. Everyone does those big sizes. Peter likes the polo shirt.
Hey, listen.
Pete says put those legs away, Scully.
If there's
Trying to get a bigger audience.
hey, you watch, like pair of legs.
Every day is leg day for
They-
Scully.
They were the legs that ran around morning.
They can still go 25 yards pretty quickly, so I'll tell you what. Yeah. But anyway, listen. If there's a touring park going out there, you want an ambassador, I'm available.
But the thing is, what you
I ain't got a trip yet, so if there's anybody out there who wants a tour ambassador,
2023, if we knew there was a tour, you could be announced as the ambassador for it now, couldn't you?
Save it
I'm
up.
announcing myself. I'm available to be an ambassador.
It's a sad thing that 2017, that great World Cup final, and I remember you were there, me and Scotty were there in Brisbane at the game. Afterwards, Cameron Smith and Melbourne spoke really well about this is the rebirth of international rugby. How good is this?
Yeah.
And it'll be 3 years. And the Australians have got to take a lot of the blame for that.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
I don't think it's necessarily Cameron Smith and Melbourne individually, but whoever the administrators. I mean, 3 years to have a replay of that game when it was such a fantastic game
Absolutely.
that either side could have won right down to the end. Yeah, it's disappointing.
And if we are going to go to a new venue, which we may for that Test
Tottenham.
series, possible.
Yep.
Go
No.
there.
Possible to
Why
the new Tottenham Hotspur.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You need
Absolutely.
to, we're almost a year away. We need to have those tickets
Yeah.
on sale now. We need to be announcing that if you don't buy them by next week,
Absolutely.
it's a sellout.
And as I said, 45 minutes ago now, tell Prince Harry, get Prince Harry there for the
Absolutely.
international game.
And I'm sure
He's everybody Rugby Union game.
I'm sure
Everybody's
he
doing
will.
this sort of thing.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
big
You know,
change to this.
Give him plenty of notice. Give him plenty of notice.
He's
You
playing
know,
for Italy.
give him plenty of notice.
He's
Get
climbing
him,
in from Western
get
Sydney.
him, get Harry a Great Britain shirt on.
Because
Do
he's
you know what I
eating
mean?
a pizza.
Innit? Get Harry a Great
Get
Britain
his
shirt
best
on.
mate, Kevin
Eh?
Sinfield, to deliver it to the
I'll
palace.
deliver it to him. I'll deliver it for
Well, there
him.
you
Sir
go.
Kevin.
You're in London for the Challenge Cup
Yeah,
final.
yeah, I'm the most capped Great Britain player. I'll present him with a jersey.
Pop in.
Eh?
What's that? I said at the
Why
time.
don't you tell him?
Send one down for the kid. I can't remember what it's called.
You know, if you don't tell people what's going on, they'll never know, will they? They won't look at seat facts to see what's going on. If you don't tell people, you've got to tell
And the
people.
one thing I do like about the 2021 World Cup is they've mapped out when everything's going to happen. So they did the venues on a certain day.
It's been very
They're doing
slick
the
and
groups on
professional,
a
hasn't
certain
it?
day.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
doing the fixtures on a certain day. Tickets are going on sale on a certain day. It's all happening at least a year before.
So it should be.
One
Why
quick.
but why can't we do that with
Can we
all our
just should we
international-
just make John Dutton CEO of the RLF? But
Sure,
one
should
question, Phil, because you're more attuned to international matters. No games in Cumbria. Is it 3? where should
Well,
those games go?
They are going to
And
be
don't
in the
just
north of
say-
England
don't just
because
say
of
Wigan.
the northern powerhouse.
hey,
Is that still a thing?
Bozza
actually,
said
they've
it
got a
didn't
new.
he? New
Boris.
trains. Yeah, new train lines.
Well, we're getting a new train, so
Yeah.
wherever the train
Are we
stops,
really?
that's where the game should be, because it'll be in by then.
I tell you what, they're absolutely, because I was up in Whitehaven 3 weeks ago, they're absolutely gutted up there that no World Cup games coming. Absolutely gutted.
It is a
Local
shame, definitely,
politicians.
for that area. But
Oh, massive.
if you haven't got like that, I think the idea that they want to elevate the sport and the international game
Yeah,
to
because
new
of the right
levels.
stadium.
You want to get the right,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you do have.
I could buy into that.
If you
Yeah,
take it to a shit stadium,
Yeah.
it doesn't look good.
Yeah,
you don't
yeah,
sell it on
mate,
TV.
I buy into that. We know what
Yeah.
the Kiwis complain when they play Scotland. Yeah, I'll buy into that any day of the week from there.
But it
I
is,
tell
yeah,
you
it
what-
is, yeah.
But I tell you what, the Cumbrian people, they are absolutely gutted. They're not seeing the best in the world going up there and be part of the World Cup.
I know it's not quite the northern powerhouse, but if I was asked where I would take those games, I'd take them to France and give the French
Well.
their own group games on the basis of the fact that the 2013 World Cup was absolutely spectacular. Those games in France, they're a different proposition on their own soil, and the fans turn out in force. They got, was it 14,000 at Avignon for a game, and Avignon can't pull more than a couple of hundred normally for it. I would, and I know they won't get funding for it. I'd take them to France.
I hear Barcelona's available.
Yeah, to stick one of them in Barcelona.
Uh,
But you've got to give people notice.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, that's it.
Even the people of Barcelona would need more than a couple of days.
Pete and Robin, they would prefer Meghan to be there rather than Harry. Fair enough.
Okay.
We'll leave it there.
She could be the Tomahawks or the Hawks ambassador.
Yeah,
If they get there from the record show.
She could present me with a great shirt.
yeah. Well, we'll
You
get
want to present you with something else?
Get her invited. Get her invited.
She
Why-
might be able to play on the heritage pitch.
Why do we always refer to the female spouse of royals by their maiden names
Is-
still? It's still Kate Middleton. Why do we still call her Clinton, not Witches of whatever? Speaking of women and powerful women.
What a segue.
Oh yeah, that's what I say. 2002, still doing it. Don't know how. There are not many things that we can rely on in the world. Taxes, politicians lying to you. When are we going to get Boris Johnson? When's he going to be invited to the cup final? We haven't had the Prime Minister there for a long time. That'd be good. And Leeds winning stuff. Well, the men are crap these days, as we know. But you can always rely on the Leeds Rhinos women. And what a story this was, because I was there earlier in the season. I think it was like the second or third game of the Women's Super League season at Liverpool, and they were pulled apart 27-0. Rhiannon Marshall was the star on that occasion, and we turn up there on a Saturday in July in Bolton, and would you believe it, it's Leeds versus Cass in the final of the Women's Challenge Cup, and the Leeds Rhinos, 16 points given on the handicap by the bookmakers. What do they know? Nothing again. Because they've won it again. They've won it 2 times. The Leeds Rhinos have given them the freedom of the city and everything. Gushing round up in
There's
the
a leader in the
post,
local newspaper telling everybody how valuable they are to the city.
yeah.
But I think Scully would have liked it because it was an Australian halfback who scored the
Well,
winning try.
well, now,
It's-
well, we'll come on to that in a moment, because we've got a question.
with an Australian coach.
We need
She
to ask
available,
you.
she available for
Well,
Sue.
that's what we're Oh, no, we won't have to put.
Good vision, good awareness, good hands.
Good support play,
Yeah,
good speed.
speed.
Kicking
Yeah.
game, good kicking game.
Actually promoted.
A Challenge Cup final, which was full of controversy in the build-up, apparently.
Can I ask a question? Did that girl who got suspended, was she played, she?
Yes,
Scored the first try.
yeah.
All right, so, yeah,
The
so that was her,
belting
wasn't it?
try.
Right, okay. Yeah,
Belting
got
try.
it,
Rich's
got it.
agenda against
Yeah,
Castle
got it.
failed.
Yeah, got it.
That was a
Well,
joke,
yeah,
in case
only
anyone was
added to-
wondering.
People
yeah.
might believe that.
Yeah,
But it
no.
only added to the folklore
Yeah.
around the game.
That's what all big games have their own storylines, don't they?
So the great thing about it, Casford can't complain because they have the best player. That's even better, isn't it?
Well, they're undefeated going this game, the first loss of the season. I mean, yeah.
I guess I think the players would like. They're being asked to be as professional as you can be when you're an amateur.
When you're not paid.
They're asked to be professional. I think they would like perhaps the transparency of the men's game in terms of suspensions and so on and so forth to be attached to the women's game, not just be a afterthought as it's treated as part of the community game at the moment. But I'm sure the game is growing, things will change. Leeds Rhinos, they win again. We mentioned Rhiannon Marshall scoring a try in the early stages, brushing past most of the Leeds. It was like watching Maradona against England in '86. But
Well, she did use her hands. Yeah.
But the Leeds Rhinos, I don't know if they'll lead your team. Defend. You talked about Widnes's defence earlier, and the Leeds Rhinos defended like their lives depended on it.
That's what won it for them. I mean, yes, a tremendous amount of skill to score the winning try, of which Courtney Hill quite rightly gave all the plaudits to
Your favourite player?
My favourite player, who plays so far above her weight for the position that she plays in, but you know, wears the number 10 but has the skills of a number 6. So made the bust through the Castleford defence off the back of a scrum, held the ball to just the perfect time to release Courtney Hill to get the glory. What I would say is we saw a very similar game last year. Incredible commitment from both teams, wonderful skill levels, some genuine personalities that you can build this sport around, who are everybody who was spoken to post-game on either side gave the most fantastic valedictory speeches about the women's. I thought Lindsay Anfield's speech afterwards was absolutely fantastic, because not only did she say the best team won and I have absolutely no complaints about how they won, but the one thing that she said was no matter who was playing and what shirts they wore, this was some occasion. And if we can elevate the profile of women's sport by games like this, we're happy to have been a part of it. I just think that the stage is there for this to be something really big for the sport. We mentioned it before, but Gary and I saw Women's Rugby League a long time ago. We went to a final occasion where you presented the medals to the winning team. The standard was great then. The women were, showed no self-preservation, and the skill level has always been there. But now we've called it Super League, and now we've got the clubs behind it, and now they've got access to the training facilities that the men have, and some of the conditioning and some of the nutrition. They're not professional in the sense that they don't get paid, but they are professional in the way they go about playing the sport. I think it's got a natural flow to it that we've lost a little bit in the men's game. The wrestle around the ruck isn't there. What we saw on Saturday with 4,000 people in the stadium when the game finished, all of them cheering, and it cast up a fantastic following with them. But all of the fans of Warrington and St Helens and Hull that were all getting there for the men's, they all bought into it. And they bought into it because it was, first and foremost, a great game. It's what we do with it now. And I think there are two things we need to do. One is, and I think it will happen, there needs to be commercial backing of it. And I think on the back of that commercial backing, because if you can't find sponsorship for women's sport at the moment, clearly you're missing out on something.
It's a boom industry, isn't it? Yeah.
But that money that's invested has to make the players part-time. I think the very least they deserve is to be, going right back to 1895, compensated. They're not going to go from being not paid at all to being full-time, but what they need is some element of recompense for entertainment and enjoyment that they're giving us, and the sacrifice that they're making. I think the other thing as well is we brought back the reserve grade, and we've made that mandatory. Every Super League team now has to have a reserve team. I think every Super League team has to have a women's team as well.
The only concern with that would be, is there the player pool to fill?
I think you've got to start. And there wasn't 2 years ago when the idea of a Super League was mooted, and we've seen that there is a disparity. There are 4 teams clearly that are better than the other 4 teams that are in Super League at the moment. But I think you've got to give people reasons to aspire. And there were 2 players, one on each side, who were 16 years old. One of whom scored a fantastic try. Funnily enough, outleaping the other 16-year-old. But if you were a young woman, young girl at the moment, maybe just starting out playing at school at the age of it, if you think, I can play in a grand final or a Challenge Cup final on a stage where thousands of people are watching me, I can get that innate feeling of joy that a winning team gets. I think we've got something.
You know, when she scored that try, and the commentator said, this 16 years of age, I thought, 16? Like, back in our day, you weren't allowed to sign fest till you were 17. I thought, is that right? Is she only 16? So the girls then could compete with the women, so-called.
At the age of 16.
They can start at 16, can they?
I think you can in Super League now.
Tell you what, it's a great commitment, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but and I say I just saw the highlights on television from there, and if I'm honest with you, if I'd got the invite from the RFL, I would have loved to have been there for the semi-final. You know, even part of the Football League's Hall of Fame and not invited. But anyway, I guess that's another story. But what I saw on television, I was, as I was when I first went to the Keeper final with you 20 odd years ago there at Keeper. You know, the quality, the commitment, the purpose, you know, and the skill levels. You know, all right, when we talk about the two different games we men and women, forget about that. You know, the men's section is there, the women is there, and as you say, and one thing I hope is that as a women game builds and it builds and it builds, I hope we don't get like the men by bringing in wrestling coaches and by bringing in this and by bringing in listen, just let them go out there, whoever's coaching them, just let the girls enjoy and express themselves, because at this moment in time, the product what they are producing is sensational. And when we talk about commercialism and we look at all the other sports with the women, you look at the football, £10 million from Barwick or something. You look at the netball, which has been going now. You look at certainly the rugby union,
cricket.
So the rugby union, they've all gone full time from there. And you look
kick
at
up the backside in cricket, there's no rubbish.
And you look at the cricket, and then you look at, but also too from our point of view, when you look at the products and when you look at the entertainment value, you as a commercial person, you know, why would you not want to be involved in rugby league? From the women's point of view, it's sensitive. But again, we asked the question at the time from the RFL, who have you got there? Or is this Super League or the RFL who's
It's the RFL at the moment.
Right, you know the guy who's promoting and marketing. I tell you what, you've not got a better time now to go out there and get a commercial partner.
I think the other great thing is I think they will capitalise on that, and one of the reasons they will is because there's a World Cup coming up in 2021, and that is going to be on equal footing. The Women's World Cup final is at Old Trafford before the Men's World Cup final. So I think, you know, if you buy in now in 2019, you've got a fantastic commercial opportunity.
Without a doubt.
Right to branding Old Trafford when
the
the World Cup comes around.
But this is what we should
and
be doing, Phil.
I think on the basis of Saturday, a lot of eyes were open. And it brings a different audience. You look round, I mean, we were sat together watching it. The fans that were there specifically to watch the women's game were a different audience to what we get to watch the men's.
Absolutely.
So if you're going to move the sport forward, you're going to break out of the bubble, whatever that means. You're going to do it through Women's Rugby League at the moment.
And we wouldn't be on this programme telling you if it was good, if it was rubbish, because we don't do that. And it is a good product, and that's why we've been backing it for the last couple of years and been telling you how great it is, because it is good. Of course, there are games which are rubbish. There are in any sport. You know, watch Wakefield lose 100-0. That's not great, is it? But that happens. There is something here, and we need to capitalise on it, because everyone else has got this pie. We've been through all these women's sports, and again, all the interest and whatever. We would have not have had the coverage on the BBC in the build-up to the game, all the stories about Holly Dodd, you know, playing as a 16-year-old and this, that and the other, if it was just the two men's semi-finals, because I keep saying this all the time, those stories are played out. You know, we see the same people being dragged out every time to talk about Halifax or Sheffield or whatever, and no disrespect to them, but I've seen those stories and I've heard them. These are new stories we can sell to a new audience.
And I think the way that people like Georgia Roach, Courtney Hill, Danica Prim speak about the sport is refreshing in itself. They are fantastic ambassadors, not just for their teams, for the sport of rugby league.
Definitely.
And, you know, Danica's story, and you know, again, we've got links to her because she's a columnist in the magazine. The 2 years that she sat on the sideline crying because of her broken knee, absolutely ruptured knee, to be playing in a final and to be tasting the victory, that's a very powerful story.
Absolutely.
And the other thing that I think is worthy of mention, and I know it won't suit everybody, and actually I don't really care, is that I thought the referee was superb. There were 3 penalties in the women's game, 2 of them went to Castleford. That meant that there was a natural flow to the game over 80 minutes. I'm not saying he didn't make a mistake. He clearly did. Every referee makes a mistake. Every player makes a mistake. The reason Castleford lost that game was because they didn't quite have enough to win that game. On 2 or 3 occasions they created an overlap, and for whatever reason, either the defence rushing up or a decision to turn back inside, they didn't create quite enough chances to win it. And if you don't believe me, listen to the words of the Castleford coach. But I thought the referee and the way he handled that game, he allowed it to breathe, made it a fantastic spectacle.
So what I was thinking is they meet again at Emerald Headingley Stadium looking to break the record of 1,400 and whatever it was.
In a standalone game.
Yes, so
I think it's a 1:30.
I think it is. She's perfect, 'cause I'm working in the evening, so I can go and be neutral, because obviously I don't have a dog in the fight between Leeds and Castle.
And we're getting genuine rivalries as well, which is the other thing. You know, Leeds and Castle always has been a rivalry, but to have it at women's level as well, to have Wigan and Saints, you know, that's why I think every Super League team needs a women's team, and perhaps as a curtain raiser to every Super League game, wherever. I know it's not easy necessarily on a Thursday night if the women are working and they're there in an amateur capacity, but wherever you can, have double headers.
Tell you what as well, when you saw Adam Cuperson, the Rhinos coach after the game, he was absolutely dead. You can see the enjoyment he's got by coaching these ladies, can't you? You can see the enjoyment from there, and I think as well because the way Cupo plays, he likes to play with that freedom and how to express himself and play what he's seen in front of you, and certainly he allows that in his team as well. For what I've seen, the way they've been playing. So,
but how great was it as well to have Darryl Powell and Michael Shenton wishing the Castleford?
Yeah, absolutely. Of course it is. Yeah, so it should.
Absolutely.
Of course it should.
But it's brilliant.
Absolutely.
We had loads of views of the stuff we did in the build-up. I think about 10,000 people watched me ask some really stupid questions of Danica after the game. But it's proof there is an audience there. And, jump on the bandwagon now. Get on it now, because you don't want to miss out on it. Chris has mentioned that Scotia should refer the Leeds goes to his favourite tattooist, because we're all getting tattoos done.
Willie Holbeck. Yeah, Willie Holbeck. Yeah.
I don't know what often. I don't think I want to know, to be honest. But
it's a tattooist in Holbeck.
No, I know, but no, what they're having tattooed.
Oh, sorry.
Don't want to go into that. But anyway,
I think the lady does protest too much.
Courtney Hill, England. That's what we're saying. Because we don't have any Australians these days.
I'll tell you what. There's another great story with Courtney Hill. Was that clearly her previous history is playing as a fast bowler in the cricket, played for Brisbane Heat. So some of the post-match tweets have been from people like Test Match Special. 395,000 people follow that Twitter account.
No one's told Haggis his mate likes rugby league. He won't be happy.
How long's she been over here?
It's 2 years. She's emigrated over here, so she's not been brought in as an overseas player, but she'd never played rugby league.
Does she live in Leeds? Where does she live in Leeds?
Yeah.
Well, no, she played rugby league as a kid in country Queensland, but at 13 she had to give it up because there was no girls couldn't play with the boys.
After 13, yeah. So she
became a very good fast bowler.
Yeah. I tell you, when we look at the other sport, I watched the cricket this weekend. The Aussies and the England. Boy, them Aussie birds. I tell you what, they can hit that ball and sling that ball down, can't they?
I'm not sure birds. Again, we were supposed to call people out for racism. I think birds is probably.
Oh well, sorry, the Australian ladies.
Athletes, I think you'll find.
Australian ladies. I tell you what, they can sling that ball down and they can bat. Langing, the captain for the Australian ladies.
Elise Perry, she's played level sport too.
So I'll tell you what, that captain, it's 138 she got in. It's about 68 balls. It's whacking everywhere, and the bowling. Well, I'm frightened to death of the corker ball. I'd rather have 60 stone on top of me knocking out at me in the rugby league pitch than that little red thing knocking out at you. I'm telling you. But no, very, very impressive. And yeah, we should, every lady who takes part in rugby league, and certainly, the applause what they've got there from the Rhinos. Yeah, it's sensational. And get out there and get sponsors for them. Go out there. Because rugby union's done it, cricket's done it, netball's done it, and I say soccer as well. Why not rugby league? It's a great product.
Let's keep our fingers crossed.
Actually, I should have said the Aussie Sheilas. That's what you call them over there, isn't it, John? The Aussie Sheilas.
Oh, it started.
Yeah, now the Aussie Sheilas.
Talk about your history next. Graham says the Castleford player was never in touch. Why didn't he have to be a referee?
I believe that was the Rod Stud clause.
Why teams from East or West Yorkshire playing Lancashire? There were 4 from Yorkshire, including the women's side, 1 from Lancashire. I don't know. Why wasn't he played at Huddersfield? I don't know. I'm not sure if Bolton's the perfect venue. I think it might be cheap. I don't know. They might get on the cheap with Bolton Wanderers having, many various things. But do we like the idea of the double-stroke triple header before we move on?
I do. I think it's
Makes it value for money.
And makes it a proper event.
Yeah, I don't mind that. But also too, when you look at it, 4 teams who were there this weekend, 3 of the teams 1, 2, 3 in Super League, the average, I would say the average, 10,000 per game, and the RFL have given 24,000 crowd, including Halifax. It's not a good sign, that, is it?
I don't think there was 24,000 there.
Why can we? Last year there were 30,000 there. We had Catalans playing who they brought about 6. You know what I mean? So why can we not get 30,000 last year? It's 6,000 down on the 24,000 this, and the 3 clubs who were there, they average 10,000 per game.
If you have the quality of the 3 games that we did this year, word goes out, you don't want to miss this.
But again, it's selling and promoting.
It's a wider issue.
Yeah, of course it is.
But I think
absolutely.
The bigger issue is the season is too long, and that teams play each other too often, and that there doesn't have that scarcity and rarity value. We've already said that Saints are going to be playing Warrington before they meet each other again at Wembley.
And they've already played twice.
Each other, yeah.
Right, get right. Let's just, we'll look at other season. We're looking Australia, and he'll be happy at this now because promoting Australian sport. But why does the state of origin sell out? Because they promote it. It's as simple. They promote it and market it. They've taken it.
And it's good.
It
has to be good.
But Phil, the quality of the game's good, but people turn up because they're being told, and they're being told how good it's going to be. They go to Melbourne. What they get in Melbourne, 88,000. They went to Perth this time, 58,000. Because they're telling people how good the product is. Why are we not telling people?
Because you only see it 3 times a year.
I'll buy into that.
If you miss
without
it,
a doubt.
it's gone.
So, but my question is, why are we not promoting and marketing the greatest game of all? It's easy done. People have qualifications for this sort of thing. Why don't we go out and tell people? I'll tell people every day. I tell people 24/7 me about the greatest game of all. But why are we not doing it? It's simple, isn't it?
Well, I'll tell you what,
I think we had a great weekend as well this weekend to do it because there wasn't a lot else on.
Correct.
Yeah, I think part of the problems when you're scheduling fixtures against yourself.
Yeah.
It's just stupidity of the highest.
Well, yeah, we still had. I couldn't believe it. We had some under-19 fixtures on between 2 Super League clubs at the same time. Let's just clear the decks.
We did about 2 games at the same time.
Nobody is allowed to play a game, whether it's console or whatever, if we've got a big event.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, absolutely. There's no Rugby League fixes at all. Any level.
Community level.
So everybody can go. You can sell your tickets at a tenner.
Well, you might get another 3,000 or 4,000.
Absolutely, sell the tickets at the price where you're going to get. The stadiums full.
Here's Michael, who's got the marketing spot on here. He says, guys, can you let everyone know on Sunday, starting at 12 noon, Victoria Park, Warrington PDRL play, followed by the top of the champ clash between Warrington and Barrow. I'm assuming that's the women, of course. There's also a beer festival around the pitch and also in the stadium. So there you go, beer festival.
And that's what you need.
With some rugby.
Yeah.
That's
Toronto.
They're making it an event. They're making it an event. That's what it's all about. I'm at OKR Castle Sunday. Yeah, doing my vaulting.
But keep it quiet, because we're not allowed to know.
Yeah, just tell me afterwards.
No, I won't tell you whose points I'm getting. Who don't like a cast?
You're supposed to pick them after the game, not before.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Or half time.
Hindsight's a wonderful thing. I sent mine in before the game. I think they'll get the 3-2.
What about OKR getting Jez Liddon and Dean Halliday?
Well, again, I suspect recruitment is what we should talk about.
Well, I've already had a tweet about Wigan.
Yeah, we've got to talk about Wigan, haven't we? Because they've signed a Burgess and Bevan French.
Yes, Bevan French.
Ray's lad.
Yeah.
He's in the team.
Ray's
lad.
Did he have an affair with an Aboriginal lady?
We should say no.
That was a joke as well. Yeah.
Look at the podcast starting. There's some space.
Hey, John, no joking and bullying on this show, No joking.
Going for the line.
Get him off.
Bevan French is a decent player. I suppose in that sort of Amos Roberts sort of, mould, quick.
Matt Bowen.
Yeah, Matt. Yeah, not as good as Matt Bowen, but yeah, in that sort of mould. But it is a bit surprising considering they've got Hardacre at fullback and however many weeks. Unless they're pushing Hardacre into the centres next season.
Well, I mean, this was the big thing.
Well, the huge rumour was that Hardacre's going back to Castle.
Surely not.
But
I don't remember what happened.
I think this Wigan recruitment is interesting. They've been a selling club for the last 2 or 3 years.
More than that.
They tried marquee players and then with Sam Tompkins and sold them on. They've now obviously clearly decided that they need to put a marker down to get fans back. Well, they've not been unsuccessful.
No,
They're
just
current
for the
Super
crowds,
League
to be
holders, and
yeah.
may well win it again this year. With
Yeah.
they're quite clearly going to be a threat in the top 5. So they're not buying to necessarily just improve the team. They're making a statement to their fans that they're back in business. The interesting thing behind all of this is the one thing we haven't heard yet is whether Sean O'Loughlin and or White are playing on next year. And if they're not, I can understand that they've got a hell of a lot of salary cap that they can move around.
Well, George Williams is going.
George Williams is going.
He's
as well.
lucky, isn't he?
So Jackson Hastings, brilliant replacement for George Williams.
Yep.
Obviously, George Burgess is covering that hole that Talima Tautai and Gabe Hamlin has left. So you can see that it's a
Forgot about Gabe Hamlin.
It's a replacement, but it's a replacement of a higher quality than they have been buying it.
You're bringing a current England international in there, 27 years old.
I think
Famous surname.
Bevan French, from the way he first broke into the Parramatta team, is a potential thrill machine.
Yeah, very exciting player.
And it may well be that having a bit more space in Super League will actually suit his style of play. So exciting. We're getting some real start. Going back a little bit to last week, James Byrne coming to Catalan Dragons is a big sign.
He's going to love the refereeing in Super League. If anyone watched the Canberra Raiders game where the referee told him at half time, if you don't button it, I'm putting you in the bin, because he was just yapping in his ear like a dog all game.
Well, I'll tell you what, they're sending Matty Smith at Carlins, isn't it?
Yes. But he's your type of player, isn't he? Can control.
Matty Smith?
No, he's a
Old school.
You've been
likes a beer. Yeah, talks a lot.
Hold on. How do you know like that? I don't get one off you. You get plenty off me.
Lies.
Yeah.
I think the signings for next year, and obviously Aiden Caesar looks, I remember the reports in Australia that he's going to Huddersfield.
which presumes the end of Matt Frawley.
Yeah, well, he's a big improvement on Matt Frawley, let's be honest.
He's been garbage, hasn't he, Frawley? Has he been garbage? Boy, oh boy. No, Maloney, he's
a current winning state of origin player.
Oh, yeah,
He's won two grand finals, he's played for Australia.
He's a quality player.
And even though he's 33, we shouldn't be minded by the fact that that's the kind of talent the marquee rule was bought into.
You see, also as well, it'd be like exactly like Blair Costin has done at Warrington. He'll come over nice and early. He'll make it, because it's a massive commitment from a point of view, not just him and his missus, but he's got 4 kids as well. But he needs 4 kids, which is absolutely huge, So 33 years of age, I guess a lot of people saying, "Oh, well, he's topping up his pension." Hey, listen, he's making a full commitment to sign a 3-year deal. He's bringing all his family over here, going to France, which would be a massive different change to Australia. Like the heat, it'll be suited by then, and where they're going to be living, I would imagine. But huge commitment. But at the end of the day, he is a quality player.
I think the fact that he's worked with Steve McNamara before,
Mac knows him,
which will make the transition that little bit easier as well.
Because they also were in the same hotel as me at 17 when I was there at Brisbane for the final, and he had a few conversations with him. He's a good character as well, and
old school football.
If it's not old school football, it's a quality footballer.
No, but
old school. What's that supposed to mean?
I mean,
old school. He's not 33 years of age. But I know where you're coming from. I know where you're coming from.
He's a knockabout. He's a bit of a larrikin.
He's a character.
He can play.
Yeah, exactly. He can play from. He loves the pressure.
Yeah.
He's not going to worry about getting on a plane and playing over here.
No,
he's not going to use that as an excuse.
He's done it all the time,
I remember speaking to him in 2016 at Four Nations. England had just played Australia at the West End ground, and he wasn't playing because Thurston and Cronk were playing. So he was just having a beer, and I did interview him. He was quite happy, I mean.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think he's one of those players who should do really well.
And also as well, again, when you talk about the commitment, Penrith offered him a good deal as well to stay there. So he's coming here to maybe get Catalans where they want to get to.
The guys who accept their money late in their career and aren't really making a lot of first team appearances, they're the ones that are topping up their pension. But he could have had his pick of probably any NRL club if he wanted. He's in form.
And the other,
I might even make a grand final this year.
Yeah, I don't think so, but Penrith have had a good run until the weekend. Yeah, they won 7 in a row.
I tell you, when we're talking about Aussies, and because it's
your favourite subject,
he's still playing now as though 18. When Cameron Smith, how does he do it? Do you think anybody would be able to entice? When Cameron Smith says, "This is my last season,"
play for another 2 years, I think.
This is what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, John, because what will he be about 37 then? But as Ray Warren is an accountant, he does 87 minutes, and look as though he's even been on a rugby league field, even though he creates 3 tries, he kicks 6 goals, he makes 45 tackles. But when Cameron Smith decides to leave Melbourne Storm, do you think somebody would be enticing?
Well,
maybe
I think he'll go into the coaching staff,
It would be
or he might
great.
be.
I mean,
He
Danny
might be
Videra-
the head coach, pretty much from because that's what he is on the field. He
Oh,
is
yeah,
a coach.
he is, yeah.
But Danny Videra did that. He wanted to win his career by just
But you know why?
sampling.
But you know why
a
Danny
different
Videra is
culture.
one of the reasons he did it, because he was coming up against State of Origin against a young Cameron Smith.
He
And I
could-
think it was a
someone
famous
over-
speech that Cameron Smith said, or someone said, that's the next Australian hooker. And he realised that but he was a great addition for Leeds, wasn't he?
Absolutely, and for the competition more than for Leeds.
But what I'm saying is, do we think anybody would be able to
I'd
take
love
Cameron
to
for
think
maybe
so.
2 years?
I'd love
to
to
see,
think
yeah.
Oh,
See him playing at Bellevue on a wet Thursday night.
Can he do it?
So the RFL need to sign him up as the head of referees.
He's a very good referee.
We need to call this out.
Listen, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with players asking questions to referees. I did it myself. a couple of
How do you
times.
do it?
Absolutely.
Well, I think maybe the
Yes, sir, no, sir. Can I just ask you a question, sir?
really interesting signings at the moment is London.
Well, I was going to
You know.
ask you about that.
Yeah.
Is that Lammy's son?
No.
Oh, right.
That's
the big
Lachlan
one.
Lamb, who's
Oh,
on the
right.
Roosters. This is
Yeah.
Brock Lamb, who's a former
the big-
Knights.
Nor
right,
is he
right.
Terry Lamb. So.
Right.
No, he's not Barwick
Okay.
Junior. But
That's good. I tell you, well, that's a good bit of business by the Broncos, isn't it?
Yeah.
Good player.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a lot of him, but I mean, he was an Aussie schoolboy. He's played 30 odd, NRL games. He's 22. He's come here to play. He's been good on this World Cup. London need a halfback. It's really interesting that London have sort of gone, oh, hang on, we could stay up here.
Yeah.
And the owner's going, all right, here's a
Hey.
little bit of money. Yeah.
I tell you what, you just mentioned that now, John. So London doing that, realising that, so what, we've won 8 games. Yes, we've got 6 games to go. We've looked at the fixture list. We need a
2 more
halfback.
wins might be all
Hey,
they
mate,
need.
so they've brought in this quality from there. Do we not think Wakefield, Leeds, Huddersfield, okay, I'm thinking, jeez. They can get 2 wins. you know what I mean?
are both
Yeah.
players, you know.
And I mean,
Yeah.
the difficult
Wakefield are
thing,
looking to, apparently.
the difficult thing for a young kid coming out here is that he hasn't got a lot of time to settle. There's no pre-season. There's no getting to know your teammates.
But
He arrives, he
he's
plays.
fit. He's been playing.
But
He's good mates with Luke Star at
That's the
Newcastle together.
I think he was at Newcastle as a schoolboy prodigy.
Yeah, he's from Maitland.
We
Yeah.
saw him over here.
Same
playing for
hometown of
schoolboy.
Luke
Really
Long.
good. But it didn't really work out. He was snatched, wasn't he, by the Roosters because he was such a prodigy. But he hasn't really got the game time there. He's
Well,
coming with a
you've
point
got
to
Cooper
prove.
Cronk, Luke
Yeah.
Keary, Latrell Mitchell, and Lachlan Lamb there.
But he's got a point to
Yeah,
prove,
yeah.
so, which is just what Danny Ward likes, players with.
Oh, yeah.
I suppose similar to like
Yeah.
a bit different when Jamie Soward came over because he was already established. But yeah, maybe you can give them a boost. At the,
I tell you what, it's a worry for the other 4 sides.
Well,
London's been in that
Hull
quality,
have
without a
recruited
doubt.
today.
Who have they got?
They've got Dean Hadley and Jez Litton.
What, from Hull?
Yeah.
Straight away?
well, they've signed for
Have they?
next year, but they're coming
They're
now.
coming now. They're already trained with
Hull
Hull.
FC.
Do you think that is Hull FC saying, well, hang on, we need the derby. That makes us a lot of money. We need to make sure, or we need to help Hull KR stay up.
I think the problem for Hull.
Ooh, it's a big call, Mr. Davis.
No,
It's
no,
a big
I mean,
call.
would you-
It's a big call. It's a big
No,
call.
I'm just. Someone mentioned that to me on Twitter, but surely would you give your bitter rivals to good players at the?
It's a good point.
Because they need a hooker. Parcel.
Well, of course, no, you need a hooker without it.
Is Tommy Lee retired immediately?
Yes, yeah, which I think has given them the
So
salary
they've
cap
usually got-
space to.
Danny Addy. You don't have another hooker. You know?
I think they needed Litton because they need
Good player.
speed out of the
Yeah,
half.
good player, that's what
very
I like
good,
it.
yeah.
Hadley can play hooker.
I
He did that
am
at Wakefield.
amazed that Wakefield haven't got back in for Hadley because he is exactly the kind of
Yeah,
player
Wakefield
they're missing at the
Wakefield
moment.
don't need a hooker, do they? They've got
No, for Hadley.
Yeah, but Hadley's what I'm saying, but Hadley playing a lot of hooker at Wakefield.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
he played back row
But he's
too,
a back
though.
rower, isn't
Yeah.
he? And they've lost Ashurst and Arona.
Maybe so,
And he's
yeah,
a very
maybe so.
similar type of player to them.
Yeah.
Holds the team together.
I tell you what, we're just talking about, when you look at the bottom 5 and you look at the fixture list for the last 6 games, I tell you what, who is
Is it Wakefield London the last game?
Yeah. So the 6 games, it's quarter to 8, but it's the 6 games left. Who do you on the spot now, John? Who do you think's getting relegated?
It's probably true. I still think London are the favourites, but if they bring in, I was told that they're looking to bring in 3 players, and they've obviously signed 1, so they've got another.
Well,
You
the
know,
links
days.
with Reece Curran of Toulouse.
Yeah, I had a message before. Apparently, I don't think he's moving.
No, I'd be surprised if he.
Yeah,
if
but they've
Toulouse
got
wanna release him,
quota
but
spots.
they're in
I
the
mean, Tony Williams is playing in New South Wales Cup. T-Rex has played for Australia and New South Wales. Imagine him coming over to London. You know, you never know who might want a 3 month stint in
That's
Super
your
League.
Manly bias.
Well, it's just Tony Williams of 2011.
Anyway, that's the question. Who do you think's going to get relegated?
I still think London will, but look, it seems to change weekend by weekend. I mean, I don't think anyone's safe. I mean, the conscious thing you say is Leeds have got too much quality, they're too big to go in, but they could go down. You know, that's
Well, people are still saying that after 23 rounds. The league table doesn't tell lies.
No, that's true.
League table doesn't tell lies. I'll tell
I
you
don't think Huddersfield or Wakefield are out of it either.
well, I'm going to tell you who's going to. Oh, I think it's going to get relegated. Wakefield. There you go. Wakefield.
Well, he's been on the ground these days.
What do you think, Phil? What do you?
I don't. If you'd have asked me a couple of weeks ago, I thought Huddersfield were the most in
Yeah,
danger.
me too.
But then they pulled out a result, and you think, yeah, they've got spirit, so they might be all right. And you look at the body language of Wakefield, and you think of all the teams playing at the bottom at the moment, they seem to be talking themselves into a hole. But they only need one more win, and maybe
Who?
Wakefield.
Where are they going to get from? Seeing the fixture.
This week,
I mean,
They have the hardest
the
run.
players that they have, they've surely got to produce some performances. You know, like
They have, the problem for them,
they
I
kick
think,
up the
is
backside, don't they?
they,
Can they handle the pressure?
they could quite
Can they handle
easily.
this pressure? What's on them?
Well, they could quite easily go to St Helens and win this week because
Really?
they could. But
St Helens want
That
to
would
wrap
be
up.
huge.
St Helens want to wrap up the
you would think
leadership
so.
this week.
But one of Leeds and Huddersfield is going to get 2 points this week, which theoretically would
that is
would
that
put
is
them
a
above
massive
Wakefield.
game, isn't it? You think?
But every
You
week
know.
is a massive game.
Yeah.
You know, Hull KR are playing
Hull,
Wakefield in a couple of weeks' time. Everybody has virtually got everybody else to play.
We've seen the fixtures, yeah.
Even with 6 weeks to go, I'm not confident to say who's going to go.
We've got,
It's one of those 5.
we've got the predictions to come. I've been busy all day, so I've not read the paper. So what a waste of £1.50 that was. But I don't know who.
Wrong paper.
Well, I know. Well, as I said last week, it's the sexist League Weekly, League Express. League Week is the budget.
Ash.
Well, that's just to ignore the wouldn't know what I can't remember last week. Oh, they missed the game off the back page, didn't they? But highlight. I want to know who puts together the highlights of the week column, and who writes for this paper. Aaron, I've heard of him. Matt Shaw, I don't know who he is.
I do.
Who's the chief columnist?
You don't write the highlights of the week column. Do you?
No. I don't.
Tweet of the week, right? Do you know they've given it to this week in League Express? I mean, it's completely pointless anyway, but have a guess. Who has been awarded Tweet of the Week in League Express? It's League Express editor Martin Sadler. What? So who was that then?
Is there a C-Fax of the week?
Can I just go back to Wakefield as well? For thinking, you know,
Big
about
Dave,
it's
fight
supposed
through the pain barrier.
yeah, it's supposed to have this broken foot or fractured foot, but it's carrying on to play for the rest of the season, which is fair play to him, fair play. But also, what struck me here was, Chris Chester's little bit of word in here, which I find a little bit strange, to be honest. Certainly after the last game over at Wigan. By the way, Chester's done a great job at Wakefield. The last 2 years, the top 5, he's done a fantastic job. But just his word in here, it's been the most challenging year I've had as a coach. Certainly the last 10 weeks at least. I'll never accuse him of not having a dig. But I think he did after the winning game. If anything, they're trying too hard. I'm not buying into that. Because certainly the purpose of the body language at Wigan to me was non-existent. And now my question is certainly for the Wakefield players, the big players have to stand up. And I said it last week, and I'll repeat myself again. That half-back combination needs breaking up. That half-back, because it's simply not working. It's not working. And can they handle the pressure what's being put on them? Can they? That's the question.
Last bits and pieces from me, before I forget. Congratulations to the Army for winning the Women's Championship against York. 4 games this week in the Women's Super League on Sunday. 2 o'clock kickoff, Castleford versus Bradford, Featherstone versus Wigan, Leeds versus York. Will Leeds be sub?
They may not have got him from the pub on Saturday.
2 o'clock kickoff, and Saints versus Wakefield at 3 o'clock. No, we've got a coach yet or not. That might be more preferable to watching the women than the men. Anything else we need to talk about? I think we've done everything. I can't think. Well, not that I've forgotten something. I know we haven't spoken about the story that everyone wanted us to talk about, but the facts are there. Facts are out there.
Looking at some of the other games than the ones that we're going to predict on, massive game for Bradford at home to Toronto on Sunday. credit to them. So that I know they don't bring any fans. They are bringing 100.
Yeah.
Yeah, well done
Which
to
is a great effort.
well done to Sandy, isn't
Yeah,
it? She's
yeah,
who's
Sandy,
doing all
yeah,
promotion. Yeah, well done.
I
Well done,
just
Sandy.
think
Yeah.
Bradford lose that game for me. They don't make the 5.
I don't want to make any other comment about Bradford because it'd be
Just
twisted, won't it?
Just thought I'd say that.
Come on, Coventry! Bounce back from that defeat against West Wales.
Yeah, come on,
They'll be
Coventry.
still,
Come on,
they'll be
Coventry.
still
Yes.
the drink West Wales, won't they?
Come on,
Also,
Coventry.
to the big Cumbrian derby, Whiteham, they're going well. They're going marvellous. They are going very, very well.
Yes.
They're working so well. You know, so yeah, working.
That
big
reminds me,
Cumbrian
Newcastle. Newcastle on the signing spree. QLT,
derby.
Bob Bessick, Kieran Gill.
Bob Bessick.
Yeah.
Have they?
Yeah.
Rochdale
Yeah.
are all but relegated and will be relegated, I think, this week if they lose to Batley. So they're heading into.
We're just saying that, fella, with the big Cumbrian derby, Whiteham works. Got to get turned out from there. You know, make it a great occasion, make it a great atmosphere. Eh? The
Make
big
it an
Cumbrian
event.
derby. Yeah, make it an event.
It's they play each other so
Exactly.
often these days.
Yeah, but derbies are derbies, fella, aren't they? Eh? Get ripped in. Get out there. You Cumbrian people,
Well,
get turned
Workington
out for
have to win, otherwise
Desperate.
their season
Yeah, they are desperate to
is
win. aren't they?
virtually over.
And one with the show, they don't want, Whitehaven, and certainly don't want top league or even promotion. But I was up there a few weeks ago, and the hospitality spot on, the enthusiasm, the purpose, what everybody shows from there. So yeah, you Cumbrian people, get turned out for this big one on Sunday.
London Scholars Oldham will be a good game as well. Scholars have to win.
They've had an awful run, haven't they?
Yeah,
they
they need to stop that, and if they're going to force their way back into the playoff positions, they need to.
West Wales Raiders, can I get 2 on the trot? Can I get 2 on the bounce?
Not against Newcastle.
He's got to be the coach of the year, hasn't he? The West Wales Raiders. Got to be the
Kim
coach
Williams.
of the year. Got to be Man of Steel, hasn't he?
We spoke to him at the start of the season. I remember it well going to York.
He's got to be Wayne Bennett's assistant. He's got to win the West Wales Raiders. The West Wales Raiders.
Well, he's an Aussie, so
Yeah,
He's got to be Wayne Bennett's assistant.
It's Queenslander too, I think.
Right, is it that time? It is. To do the predictions, we're looking ahead to the 6 games in Super League. Excitingly, we've already been told that to not Warrington, that's from Carl, and obviously the Salford fans don't want us to tip them. So find out as we go through the predictions. Excuse me, and we start on Thursday. As Hull FC have to back up the disappointment of losing in the Championship semi-final. All their eggs are in a basket marked Old Trafford, and they take on the Wigan Warriors, who are signing all these people. Gary Schofield, who's
Yeah,
going to win.
he's certainly wanting the reaction, isn't he, Radis? And as he's mentioned, the players shouldn't need any motivation because, there's only one pot left, and that's the Old Trafford Grand Final, which has never won from there. But Wigan, with that week off from there, the way they're going, the big players are playing well, and certainly the way that Liam Fowler's playing from there, he's certainly back to his best. So this is testing time for the Black and Whites, very, very testing, and I just feel as though with disappointment, Wigan with that week off, in good form, they want to cement the top 5 spot. I'm going Warriors 10.
I think it's just a really tough ask for Hull to have to back up after a defeat of a semi-final, even if it were a victory of a semi-final, to play on the Thursday. I think that's terrible scheduling. I know that we're beholden to the money of the television company, but that's just ridiculous. Now that will either galvanise Hull to get the semi-final out of their system, or it'll just be a step too far. I think there's a feel-good factor again around Wigan, and it's not just that they're winning games; it's the fact that they're signing players. I just can't see Wigan losing this one with the way they took Wakefield apart in the first half. We've praised their defence enough this year, but their attack looked back on top. So I am going to have to go with Wigan by 10.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think there's a bit of confidence there back in Wigan. They're playing well. Obviously, George Williams' move announced. He wants to finish on a high. I think they'll win by 12.
We'll go with a full house then of Wigan victories in this game. Although I did say Hull might throw one in last week against Warrington. They didn't, obviously. They played well and just came up short against Warrington. Or should I go with Hull? No, I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to go with Hull. I'm going to have the thing going up and down. Hull to win by 2, and all those players who perhaps didn't turn up on Saturday to turn up this time. Yeah, all by 2. Right, Friday. It is the big one. We're all looking forward to this one. It's the Battle of West Yorkshire, the Battle of the Cowbells. Come on, Leeds, shut them up. Huddersfield Giants. Oh no, I don't like Leeds. Hang on. Huddersfield Giants versus Leeds Riders. The Gary Schofield derby. Gary Schofield.
Well, the Giants, after the last performance, great confidence boost, wasn't it? And Leeds, against the black and whites. Boy, oh boy, how do I call this? How do I call this? Do I give my beloved Leeds another opportunity to get the 2 points? And the Giants, I think they'll realise if they win this one, then the relegation is maybe safe, and brilliant confidence after that surprising win at Hull KR, after Hull KR beat Leeds a week before from there, and I just think they'll just keep that going. The Giants team, to be honest with you, I just think they might have too much for us, and I want the response. I want the response from the whole performance. We've got ourselves back in there, but the experienced players are just not doing it, and we're not playing for long minutes quality rugby league at this moment in time. And I just think the confidence over there with the Giants. I'm going the Giants by 7.
I think you're right. If Huddersfield win their set, I think they get to that 20-point mark, and because everybody below them will be playing each other, they can start to breathe a little bit easier. He's applying at the moment to stick by him for at least one more week, so I'm going Leeds by 6. I know. Nobody believes a single word I say, and nor should they.
Yeah, this is just such a 50-50 game. I mean, both teams are horribly inconsistent. I don't know what the injury list is looking at, who's in and out. We'll get to flip a coin and say Leeds by 6, but yeah, it quite easily could be Huddersfield. Yeah.
The great thing is, I've just noticed every time Square looks down his paper, there's the ball covers his face up. You can't see him on YouTube.
Oh, sorry, thank God.
So all the people on Facebook, they should have thinking, I should have watched on bloody YouTube. I don't know where to go on this one. The best question that was asked at the press conference after the Women's Challenge Cup final was it Pete Smith asking Cuthbert if he wanted the job?
Mm-hmm. He wanted the men's job.
Right, coach.
Cuthbert.
Yeah.
Why not? So, Cuthbert, maybe. I shouldn't be saying anything like I'm mates with these people, I don't know. Pretend journalist. I wanted to go for Leeds, but I don't know. I want to go for Huddersfield instead. I'm trying to work out from a perspective as a Wakefield supporter which result's better here. Would you rather have a team pull away from it and another team stay in it, or have the other team drag everyone back into it? I think it's better if Huddersfield win, but for some reason I think Leeds will win. And again, I don't know why am I going for Leeds. I've seen this story. I keep picking them. Why? Leeds by 2. I don't know what.
Have you been on sauce this afternoon, Sean?
No, I've had a long day.
Have you been on sauce?
I think the truth is none of us really know.
No,
exactly. No,
However,
this is top to turvy game, isn't it?
However, we all know which way this one's going to go. St Helens, who I think will clinch the league leadership this week as they take on the hapless Wakefield Trinity.
Yep, they will wrap it up, Saints, without a doubt. Wakefield, well, they've been making all the noises. The lads are just coming back from the holidays. I'm hoping they've got the factor 6 off, because one thing for sure, St Helens will be ripping in. Yeah, they've achieved one thing so far. They've got to the Challenge Cup final. They want to wrap up the League Leaders Shield this Friday night. If it's a team where Wakefield didn't want to go, we certainly will be St Helens. Wakefield at this moment in time are a mess. They are a mess, and they cannot go to St Helens. They cannot go to St Helens on Friday and win the way they are playing. I would say it's a win is quite easy. I'm going to St Helens by 28.
I think there could have been a hangover for getting to Wembley. I think that there is some occasions when it's a good time to have had a week off and play a team that has spent most of the week emotionally celebrating the fact that they're going to Wembley. I think the other problem for Wakefield is it's likely that sometime tomorrow that Justin Holbrook will be announced as the fact that he's leaving and going to the Gold Coast. I think that will make Friday an even more emotional occasion for Saints, their fans, their players, and for Holbrook himself. And because of that, and getting to Wembley and wanting to celebrate it with their fans, I've got to go with Saints by 20.
Yeah, I think that'll galvanise them even more. And the fact that it's at the totally wicked stadium, even though they've had a Challenge Cup game, I just can't see Wakefield getting in them. I think Wakefield, good time for them to have a break. But yeah, St Helens by 12.
Well, everyone's signing players, only if Wakefield will sign any, because at the moment he's leaving. Mason Caton Brown leaving for business interests. I think he's playing sevens or something, because he was on his Instagram story. He was in Jamaica the other day, so that was a good preparation for coming back, but he's not. Saints are going to win. Saints are going to win, aren't they? And they'll win by 18. We'll all go. Congratulations on winning the League Leaders Shield. I hope they celebrate more this year.
I think they
a
will.
little bit more.
And I think with Holbrook going, they will as well.
That is Friday night. On Saturday afternoon, live from the south of France, it is the Catalan Dragons, the reigning and defending Challenge Cup winners, well not anymore, as they take on the team who could take over their mantle, Warrington Wolves.
Yeah, Warrington. Well, Phil mentioned earlier a bit of hangover maybe from St Helens. Warrington, yeah, there could maybe be a bit of hangover from there. They know they're in the 5, aren't they? And they'll keep a close eye on the Wigan Warriors Hull FC, because they know that Hull FC are just knocking on the door of the second spot. Wigan looking to cement there. So, but Catalan's disappointing. It was at Salford, wasn't it, the last game from there? Very disappointed. So they want a bit of reaction from there. He'll be wanting to making sure that getting a bit of consistency to maybe make the 5 for the Dragons. Don't think there'll be much in this, but I just feel as though the Dragons, with a week off, the celebration what Warrington would have been doing, the Dragons, I don't think they'll be buying many. Again, I'll go the Dragons by 7.
I think it was a really tough game for Warrington, physically and mentally. You know, they didn't beat Hull until 2 minutes from time. Needed a hell of a lot of physical effort to do so. Whilst Catalan have been basking in the sun of the south of France, they have to win the Dragons if they're going to make the 5. I think this is the sort of game that they're going to come up against Warrington again, most likely in the playoffs if they make the 5. This is a statement game for them. It's likely to be hot, which again would suit them, and not Warrington, who've got to fly over and can't train at the moment because there's travellers on the pitch that have been earmarked where they were going to train. So everything's against Warrington, and I'll just go with the Dragons, reinvigorating their push for the 5, but not by much, maybe 8.
Yeah, I'm probably going to make the same mistake and expect Catalans to turn up. You just never know. They beat Warrington over there early in the season. They've had their time off. You'd like to think they will perform. Catalans by 4.
I'm going to go for Warrington. I'm not sure why. Honestly, Catalans aren't that good anymore, are they? Warrington, and they will beat the Catalan Dragons by 8 points. On Sunday, 2 games. And we'll start in Hull, where the Kingston Rovers take on the Castleford Tigers.
Yes, I'm at this game myself, and the way that both coaches like the both teams to play, this could be a points fest, couldn't it? If it's going to be a bit of a dry day, the sun's out, and these two sides like to throw the ball about a bit, don't they? And down Park, looking at the league tables, he'll want to make sure they stay in that top 5. So, the Castleford Tigers will certainly be up for this, but Tony Smith will want a reaction from that performance against Huddersfield, won't it, coming on the league from there. So, plenty of points. Both teams like to play up and attractive rugby leagues from there. Again, this is like the Huddersfield Leeds game. This could go either way, can't it? And, he's getting a reaction from his players. Dowell a couple of weeks ago wanted 7 from 7. So far, he's got 1 of them. This will be pretty tough against OKR. Pressure's on Lisa Rovers. I'm going to give OKR 1 more chance at this moment in time. I'm going to give them 1 more chance to produce. The 2 performances, what they did against the Black and Whites and Leeds were outstanding, but rubbish against Wigan and Huddersfield. But I think we'll get a reaction, Tony. I don't think there'll be much in it. I think this could be maybe a 2 or 4 pointer. I'm going to OKR by 4.
I think the way Castleford played in their last game was the nearest they've been this year to the way Darryl wants them to play.
Yeah.
They're getting some key players back as well. It's brilliant for Hull KR that the players that they've got in on loan have come at the beginning of the week, so they'll be more seamlessly integrated by the time match day comes around. I just think they've lost more than they've gained at the moment. Parcell being out, the 3 Warrington lads going back. There may well be another signing for KR during the week on loan, but at the moment I think Darryl has set his sights on, it started last week, we've got to get better. So I'm just going to go pass by 12.
Yeah, I think Hull KR will be much better than they were against Huddersfield, but coming up against Cass at the wrong time. They've won quite a few recently. I've saw them beat Wakey at Bellevue and beat Warrington at the Jungle, and look like they're getting better each week, getting some players back as well. So a bit of momentum about them. I think Castleford by 6.
Yeah, I'm going to side with the Tigers as well. Might put Ollie Holmes on the wing. He was great against Wakefield. Might say something about Wakefield. Castleford to beat the Rovers. This will upset Sid, so that's always a bonus as well. Avocados. And Castleford by 10. Finally, in the capital, London Broncos versus the Salford Red Devils. What happens here?
Salford by 50.
Again,
Negative against Salford.
you look at this fixture and, Salford, well, they can be anyway, can't they, there, but then they can lose to anybody. London as well. Now, London now know that this is their business end of the season, as we know what the top 5, what they think of the business end of the season. This is their business end now. They've done some good business by bringing this halfback over from there, and this will be one game where Danny Moore may have ticked, yes, this is a possibility. Not now a possibility. This could be a victory from there, and Salford will have to be at their best, and they'll have to be at their best for at least, I would say, 17 minutes to get the 2 points from there. I fancy London for this one. I fancy to turn them over. If they can keep Jackson Hastings pretty quiet, they know what he's like, they know he's the main player. They keep him quiet, London win. I'm going for London. I'm going London by 10.
It's another one that I have absolutely no idea which of these two teams are going to turn up. I think if it's the Salford team that turns up that was so impressive last time out, they'll win. I think people like Niall Evans love playing on a fast pitch.
Top try scorer in Super League.
Yeah, if they can get the ball to him, and Hastings has shown that he's not going to leave without putting up the best possible fight that he can. Lola here had his best game last time out, and they seem to be getting a little bit of a partnership together. They've got a nice mobile pack, Salford. I think they've got all the ingredients. The trouble is they can't play from one week to the next with any degree of consistency. I have a feeling you might be right about London, that the signings that they're going to be bringing in, this mini season that they've identified, they don't have to win every game, but they do have to win their games at home because they've got some pretty difficult ones away. Provided London start well, because they have this horrible habit of trying to claw games back. You'd fancy them, but I'm just going to go Salford by 2.
They did beat Salford on the Astro at Ealing last year, but basically just to avoid being trolled, I'm going to tip Salford. No, seriously, it is very unpredictable, and I think that's great this season. There's so many games week to week are unpredictable. I think it's the most in recent 6-7 years anyway that I can remember. So I will tip Salford just to appease any people out there. Salford by 8.
You're just hoping Gemma Carter brings some sweets next time in the press box, aren't you?
No, it's just for Paul Bennett. It's just for Paul Bennett.
I'm trying to work out. So, Scott, you've gone for Hull, KR and Huddersfield, haven't you, so far?
Yes. And now London.
So, I mean, when this standalone video comes out on Saturday night, or whenever I tweet it out, and all these results have gone wrong, and I say, does that mean Leeds will be bottom with all your results this week? Because London will be on 18 points.
Can I change him? Can I change him?
Oh
no!
And you're on the top tips for me as well. This is can this could be? Hey?
Oh, is it ever?
I'm going to go Salford by 8. Salford by 8. And that wraps up proceedings. I'd forgotten, because John mentioned this on Saturday at Bolton, but I was a little bit discombobulated trying to find the ICM point. You might be trolled by Shayna Baszler, who's actually like a really scary, violent woman.
Thanks to Paul Bennett. The Rugby Weekly. Yep.
Because as we know, all foreigners in sport, they all take the drugs, apart from people from your own country.
Yep,
It's never their fault.
So what's that mean when you're being trolled? What's that mean? Somebody pretending to be you?
No. Basically, people just attack you constantly.
I'm trolled every.
Yeah, but you deserve it. That's the difference.
He
You bring it on yourself.
He only needs to go to the supermarket in his dressing gown and get trolled.
And women scream and children flee in the street.
Belle Morrison's tomorrow morning.
7 o'clock, don't be late.
You know the weird thing is,
First they'll see me at the petrol station first. So don't be late, I'll be there.
like when we said we
I've
were
been kidnapped one week.
like when we said we were going to the chicken cottage in Newcastle, and people turned up. People will turn up at the Belle Morrison.
Yeah, they're Hunswick Morrison's. I'll be there at 7 o'clock in my dressing gown. If you want to donate some petrol, I'll be delighted.
Some petrol.
I'll be delighted.
Oh.
Got no deal Brexit yet, that's a call. Thanks to Scotty, thanks to Phil, thanks to John. We'll be back next week, and I don't know what we'll be doing next week. Talking more about rugby league.
If Leeds are bottom at league, I'll be crying. I could do that for nothing.
Tune in for the Leeds in Crisis mega special next week.
Hashtag
Come on, the Rhinos.
positive
Come on,
rugby
Leeds.
league.
Positive.
Come on.
Sort of positive.
Sort of. Oh, it's all.
Yeah.
Trust me.
That's a hashtag.
Leeds bottom of the table. That's positive. I'm going to have to take the phone off to turn it off. So apologies, listeners, but have a good view of our roof. And for our YouTube viewers, thank you very much indeed. Goodbye.